Chapter 5944. 20 million spirit jades. Directly doubled the base price. But this level of bidding was not enough to scare others. The second bid was doubled again, 40 million spirit jades. Many people in the hall who wanted to join in the fun suddenly burst into tears. With this kind of rhythm, how could they intervene? One or two more times and it would break 100 million, right? Unfortunately, they did not expect that after one or two times, the next bid would be 100 million. The third bid displayed on the projection array. Even Huang Wenjing was a little stunned. She had never seen such an auction. The base price was 10 million, the third bid was 100 million? Was this necessary? In the famous medicine sect box, Jing Tianqing smiled proudly and said to Jing Dongsheng, "Grandpa, we don't have to worry, no matter how many spirit jades we have. We don't care even if we use the public funds of second grandpa's Dan Hall, because only we know that Lin Yi, this idiot, absolutely can't continue to refine medicine." Jing Dongsheng stroked his beard and laughed. "Tianqing, you're right. Since we know that Lin Yi won't be able to fulfill this opportunity, we'll use as many spirit jades as we can. This time, we'll not only ruin this kid's reputation, but we'll also make him pay us double." Speaking of this, Jing Dongsheng clapped his hands and said, "Oh, Tianqing, you should directly quote our maximum limit. Now that the bid is 100 million, what if others don't follow? Are we going to raise the price ourselves?" "Grandpa, rest assured, I have asked a friend to help. There will never be such a situation. If we bid too high all of a sudden, others will think of us as fools." Zheng Tianqing had a well-thought-out look. The helper he was talking about, of course, was Yu Ziqing. While the two were talking, the bid outside had been refreshed, and the increase was also very large, directly reaching 150 million spirit jades. Zheng Tianqing's face was full of pride. As expected, he looked at his grandfather and said 200 million spirit jades. The audience in the hall was going crazy. This way of increasing the price was too exciting. Although Lin Yi's one chance to concoct a pill was equivalent to a mystic second-level pill, and a high-quality one at that. But if he wanted to concoct a pill, he still needed to prepare the ingredients, right? The materials for a mystic rank level 2 Dan were also not something that could be easily obtained. Huang Wenjing was speechless on the stage. It was not because of the speed at which the price rose from 10 million to 200 million in just 5 increments, but because the one who bid 150 million just now was Private Room 1. As the chief auctioneer of the Extreme North Auction House, of course, he knew who was in the first box. That was the owner of the entire Extreme North Island, the Extreme North Li family. Under normal circumstances, even if someone from the Li family gave out a jade token, very few people in booth number 1 would choose to use it, because it was a symbol of the Li family's identity. At the auction, booth number 1 would almost never bid. After all, the auction house belonged to the Li family, and casually bidding would break the rules of the game. But once the number 1 private room made a bid, basically no one would not give face and continue to bid. In terms of financial resources, who could compare with the Li family in the extreme north? Continuing to bid would only offend people, and there was no benefit to it. The hall was strangely quiet. The bid of the extreme North Li family was instantly surpassed by the same margin. This was not giving face to the Li family at all. Was this the rhythm of preparing to slap their face? Zheng Tianqing did not notice that the last bid was made by the first box. He was still smiling and said to Jing Dongsheng, "Grandpa, you see, someone will help us raise the price. It seems that Lin Yi is very popular. This is the best. When the time comes, it will be more pleasant to humiliate him." 300 million spirit jades. Number 1 private room bids 300 million spirit jades, going once. Huang Wenjing waited for the new bid to come out, and immediately began to count down. If it was not for the rules, she would have directly hit the hammer to close the deal. Damn, really rich and overbearing. "Grandpa, how much spirit jades can we use in total?" 330 million? Zheng Tianqing's heart was blooming with joy, so he did not hear clearly what Huang Wenjing said about the first box bidding 300 million spirit jades. Zheng Dongsheng heard it, but he could not react for a moment. Zheng Tianqing had already refreshed the last bid. Wait. Zheng Dongxing stretched out his hand and grasped the air twice, and finally could only helplessly shake his head with a wry smile. Zheng Tianqing turned back and asked curiously, "Grandpa, what do you want me to wait for?" Just now the bid was from the first box. Zheng Dongxing really wanted to cry but had no tears. He had already offended Li Ziyu before, and now he was competing with the Li family like this. He did not give any face at all. Whether he could leave the extreme North Island or not was a problem. Zheng Tianqing looked at his grandfather suspiciously, and then suddenly understood what the first box represented. The extreme North Li family. This grandfather and grandson pair were suddenly in a difficult position. If they did not seek death, they would not die. Originally, they only wanted to raise the price of Lin Yi's alchemy opportunity to a sky-high price, and then take the opportunity to make a profit. Who would have thought that when the sky-high price came out, the extreme North Li family would be dragged into it? No matter how many spirit jades they had, being played like this, they would definitely be angry. In the first box, Li Ziyu was really angry. He must get the opportunity of Lin Yi's alchemy, and he must get it at all costs. Yesterday, Li Ziyu's alchemy opportunity had already been taken by his people. Today, it was Lin Yi's. Li Ziyu did not want any accidents to happen, so he directly bid in the first box. He did not expect that there would be such a tactless guy, actually arguing with him all the way. "You want to compare spirit jades with this young master, you are really blind." Li Ziyu scolded bitterly, raised his hand and quoted a super sky-high price of 400 million spirit jades. A ready-made profound level 2 Dan could not be sold at such a sky-high price. Now it was just a chance of alchemy. The people in the hall simply could not understand the thoughts of these rich people. Zheng Dongsheng and Zheng Tianqing's foreheads were dripping with cold sweat. Not to mention that they didn't have spirit jades to increase the price. Even if they had spirit jades, they wouldn't dare to increase the price even if they had the spirit jades. Secretly plotting against the Li family of the extreme north might not cause any problems, but if they offended the Li family openly, it was hard to say what would happen. What should we do? Zheng Dongsheng looked at his grandson in a daze, with a face full of fear. The experience of being imprisoned and tortured as soon as they arrived at the extreme North Island was still in front of them. Did they have to go back to the old place again? Chapter 59-45. Zheng Dongsheng relaxed a little and nodded. "That's right, Tianqing. You're right. I'll have to trouble you. Hurry up and explain. As for being within the scope of the rules, to hell with it." On the northernmost island, the Li family was the rule. Zheng Tianqing sneered, "There's nothing to be wronged about. A man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. This little setback will be returned to Li Ziyu sooner or later. Well, there's no time to lose. I'm going to go now. Go ahead. You must be patient, understand?" Zheng Dongsheng didn't forget to remind him. As for him going over to explain on behalf of Zheng Tianqing, he definitely wouldn't say that 400 million spiritual jades going thrice. Deal. Congratulations to the VIP in Box 1 for getting a chance to refine elixirs by Master Lin. Huang Wenjing dropped the hammer and let out a sigh of relief. Fortunately, things were back on track. Otherwise, she would be in a difficult situation. Lin Yi was also stunned. He did not expect that his opportunity to refine elixirs could be sold for 400 million spiritual jades. Originally, he thought that 100 million spiritual jades would be good enough. If he had auctioned it earlier, he would not have been so short of money when he bought the spirit concentrating branch. At this time, Zheng Tianqing quickly came to the door of Box 1 and carefully touched the restriction on the door. Normally, no one was allowed to disturb the people in the box, but now he could not care less. Anyway, he had already offended the person inside, so it did not matter if it was more or less. A cold-faced northern garrison guard opened the door and looked at Zheng Tianqing. "I'll give you 3 breaths to explain yourself, or die." Zheng Tianqing felt a chill in his heart. He knelt on the ground, bowed his head and said in a trembling voice, is that young Master Li inside? I'm here to apologize. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to compete with you. There's a reason behind it. So it's you. Li Ziyu stood up and turned around. When he saw it was Zheng Tianqing, he suddenly showed a trace of disgust. You did nothing wrong. It's just a normal bidding. Isn't it natural that the highest bidder wins? You came here to admit your mistake. Do you want to insinuate that I am abusing my power for personal gain and that our extreme north auction house is shady? Zheng Tianqing hurriedly shook his head and said, It's nothing, the young island master is the most fair and just person. Actually, the reason why I bid with the young island master is to prevent you from bidding for Lin Yi's pill refining opportunity, because I know that he won't be able to refine pills in a short period of time. Li Ziyu frowned slightly and said unhappily, What nonsense are you talking about? Since Brother Lin took out the opportunity to refine pills to auction, he definitely can refine pills. Are you trying to frame him? Young Island Master Li, you don't know. In order to get the ghost cicada wings that he has always wanted, Lin Yi forcibly refined the profound level second level high Na Dan before the auction began. As an alchemist, I can responsibly tell the young island master that after Lin Yi refined the high Na Dan, he won't be able to refine pills for at least a month or two. Is he going to wait for the opportunity to refine pills to come here? Zheng Tianqing was definitely full of motivation when he slandered Lin Yi. These ideas had already been in his mind many times, so it was very smooth to say. Li Ziyu snorted and said, This matter has nothing to do with you. You can go now. I will discuss the rest with Brother Lin. How could Zheng Tianqing miss this rare opportunity to target Lin Yi? He hurriedly advised, Young Island Master Li, I think you should first find Lin Yi and ask him if he can refine pills in the next few days. After all, this is a big business of 400 million spirit jades. It's always good to be cautious. Whether he succeeded or not, Zheng Tianqing wanted to bury a thorn in Li Ziyu's heart. If he could make him and Lin Yi become enemies, that would be the best. I said, you don't need to worry about my matters. Get lost now, or I will send you to your original room for a few days. Li Ziyu's face had already revealed an impatient expression. The so-called original room was naturally the cell that Zheng Tianqing had lived in. Zheng Tianqing's body trembled slightly. It was better not to relive that kind of painful memory, so he immediately nodded and said, Young Island Master, don't worry, I will leave immediately. Not daring to say anything more, this guy stood up and turned to leave. He was quite straightforward. Li Ziyu was really a little worried after hearing Zheng Tianqing's words. He wanted to talk to Lin Yi, but he felt that it was too urgent. Finally, he decided to visit Lin Yi after today's auction was over. After Zheng Tianqing successfully resolved the crisis of the auction, his mind began to work again. He looked around, found an auction house staff, gave him a small bag of spirit jades and said, Go to the 5th box to find Master Lin Yi. Tell him that Young Island Master Li is waiting for him in the 1st box. Ask him to go and see Young Island Master as soon as possible. The staff looked at Zheng Tianqing as if he was looking at a fool and said, Young Island Master needs you to call me with spirit jades when he is looking for someone? Are you stupid or am I stupid? Zheng Tianqing couldn't wait to slap this expressive bastard to death. But thinking about it, it was true. Li Ziyu was the Young Island Master of the extreme North Island. If he wanted to find Lin Yi, he could just send a northern guard. Why would it be so troublesome? However, Zheng Tianqing obviously would not give up. He took back the small bag of spirit jades and directly took out a red spirit jade card and said, I gave you a chance to make a fortune, but you don't know how to cherish it. Your Young Island Master asked me to invite Master Lin to discuss alchemy. Don't you know about the 400 million spirit jades opportunity just now? I have some misunderstanding with Master Lin. If I go to invite him, he may not agree, understand? The staff's eyes lit up. Facing the 10,000 spirit jades, he was really tempted. Who cared if he was stupid or not? He must be too stupid not to earn so many spirit jades. He grabbed the spirit jade card and put it into his pocket. Then, he laughed and said, "All right, I'll go and help you. Just you wait. Hurry up, hurry up." Zheng Tianqing urged a few times and hurriedly ran to the corner to hide. The staff quickly came to the door of box 5 and touched the restriction. When Wei Shenjin came out and opened the door, he immediately cupped his fists and bowed respectfully. "Is Master Lin here?" "Just now, someone told me that our young island master is waiting for Master Lin in box 1 and wants to invite Master Lin to come over. I wonder if it is convenient." "Who said that to you?" Wei Shenjin immediately caught the key point in his words. He looked around twice but did not find anyone else. Lin Yi smiled faintly and said, "No need to ask, I know who it is." Chapter 59-46. Anyway, Lin Yi was not interested in the things being auctioned. He would go and see what this guy was up to. If there was a chance, he would kill him directly. Languza had almost finished all the food in room 5. When he heard about room 1, he quickly came over and said, "Boss, where are you going?" "I will go with you." Lin Yi did not want this foodie to go to Li Ziyu's place and immediately waved his hand. "No, you and Wei Shenjin stay here and help me keep an eye on the place. If the soul wood appears, you must bid for it no matter what. Don't worry about not having enough spiritual jades. I am short of everything but spiritual jades." The staff left as soon as they arrived. Lin Yi said a few words and walked to room 1. When he passed by the place where Zheng Tianqing was hiding, he pretended that he did not see him. If they were not in the auction house, it would be easy to kill this guy. When he reached room 1, he triggered the restriction. It was still the cold-faced northern guard who opened the door. However, when he saw Lin Yi standing outside, he was immediately overjoyed. "Master Lin. Please come in. Young island owner, Master Lin is here." The North Guard was smiling so brightly that his eyes couldn't even be seen. He invited Lin Yi in passionately, and Li Ziyu turned around as well. "Brother Lin, you came at the right time. Come and sit down." Li Ziyu took 2 steps forward and pulled Lin Yi's arm. He did not forget to thank him. "Thank you so much for last night, Brother Lin. I haven't had time to thank you and Captain Okuda properly. Brother Li, don't be so polite. If you continue like this, I will go back." Lin Yi smiled and shook his head, but his divine sense was still locked on Zheng Tianqing. Seeing the door open, Zheng Tianqing rushed out and yelled, "Lin Yi, are you here to talk to young Master Li and ask him to cancel your chance to concoct the pill? Let me tell you, don't even think about it. I will expose your true colors today." Li Ziyu immediately said unhappily, "Why is this guy still here? You guys, hurry up and throw him out. If he doesn't behave, then lock him up." How annoying. Zheng Tianqing's heart tightened, and he immediately cried out, "Young island master, I'm thinking for you. Although 400 million spirit jades is nothing to young island master, you've spent so much money, yet you've gotten nothing in the end. Do you want to be laughed at?" Lin Yi smiled and raised his hand to stop the northern sentinel. He said, "Brotherly, just let him speak. Once he makes it clear, he can go to jail with peace of mind. If Zheng Tianqing was locked up, it would be much easier to deal with him later." This was not a bad idea. Zheng Tianqing sneered and said, "Lin Yi, do you think I don't dare to expose you? You can't even refine pills now, yet you still use some alchemy machine to deceive young island master Li. To think that young island master still treats you as a brother, you despicable villain. If you want to refute me, immediately refine the elixir that young island master needs." Lin Yi frowned slightly. Speaking of the elixir that Zheng Tianqing needed, there was nothing else except the regeneration elixir, right? But he really couldn't refine the regeneration elixir. Although the reason was completely different from what Zheng Tianqing had thought, the result was the same. "Brotherly, if you need an ordinary level 2 mystic level elixir, such as the sea essence elixir, I can refine it for you today. But if it's the elixir from last time, I'm afraid I can't refine it for the time being." Lin Yi did not hide anything and said to Li Ziyu directly. Li Ziyu looked a little disappointed and couldn't help but ask, really can't I refine it with Master Li Zao? I also took the opportunity to refine her elixir. Brother Li, you and I are brothers. I won't lie to you. Even if I join forces with Li Zao, it is impossible to refine it successfully. But don't worry, for the time being, there is no problem without that elixir. If it goes well, I will definitely be able to refine the elixir for you within a year. Lin Yi estimated that Han Jingjing should wake up in a year. At that time, the automatic alchemy system would be upgraded, and the chance of refining the regeneration elixir would be much higher. Zheng Tianqing laughed and said, Lin Yi, you liar. If you can't refine the elixir, just say it. Don't make so many excuses. Within a year, you auctioned the opportunity to refine the elixir before the end of the Extreme North Island auction. Why are you talking so much nonsense about me and Brother Lin? It's really annoying. Brother Lin, is it okay for me to catch this guy? Li Ziyu really didn't want to see Zheng Tianqing, but since Lin Yi had just spoken, he naturally had to ask for his opinion now. Lin Yi shrugged and said, no problem, I also think this guy is very annoying. Zheng Tianqing suddenly became anxious and said, young Master Li, you can't catch me. Is this how you treat your guests in the Extreme North Island? You can catch me and lock me up whenever you want? Or do you want to take revenge on the auction just now? Li Ziyu was stunned. As the young master of the Extreme North Island, it was indeed inconvenient for him to do this kind of thing. He had a legitimate reason to catch Zheng Tianqing before, but now he was in the auction house and had just bid for the same item. If he caught Zheng Tianqing, it would not be good if it was spread out. Lin Yi secretly felt that it was a pity. It seemed that it was not easy to catch this guy. In that case, there was no need to pester him. He could just drive him away. Brother Li, don't pay attention to this clown. Let's sit down and talk about alchemy. Lin Yi turned and walked inside, no longer caring about Zheng Tianqing. Li Ziyu nodded and winked at the Northern Guard. The Northern Guard kicked Zheng Tianqing out of the room and closed the door. It didn't matter how Zheng Tianqing ran around outside. After Lin Yi sat down, he said apologetically, Brother Li, the difficulty of concocting the recovery pill is quite high, and there are some key points that I haven't figured out yet. You can choose to concoct other mystic second-level pills with the chance you got this time. As for the recovery pill in the future, I'll concoct it for you for free. Li Ziyu laughed and said, since Brother Lin said that it is difficult for the time being, then we can talk about it later. Anyway, I don't need any pills, so I might as well talk about it later. That's fine too. If my alchemy skills upgrade, Brother Li can choose Mystic Level 3 or even Mystic Level 4 pills. Don't worry, I won't increase the price. Lin Yi said with a smile. It sounded like a joke, but both of them knew that this was a real promise. Chapter 59-47. After chatting for a while, Lin Yi said goodbye and went back to the number 5 box. He was too embarrassed to participate in the auction here. After all, it was the number 1 box of the Li family in the extreme north. After returning to the box, Languza immediately pointed to his eyes and said, Boss, I stared at it without blinking, but I didn't see the soul would appear. Well, I know you worked hard. After the auction, I will take you to eat delicious food. Lin Yi smiled slightly. Anyway, he had a lot of spirit jades. It would be good to let Languza have a good taste of the flavor of the extreme North Island. Languza was overjoyed and said loudly, Thank you, boss. Then he continued to stare at the auction stage, hoping that the soul would appear soon. Unfortunately, there was no soul wood until the end of today's auction. Lin Yi was not short of spirit jades now, so he bought some things he liked. But without the soul wood, he could not leave the extreme North Island. He could only wait for the auction tomorrow. Fortunately, the auction was planned to last for 5 days. Now 3 days had passed. In any case, the soul wood appear in the last 2 days. That was to say, he could go back to the Middle Island to save Han Jingjing in 2 days at most. A cup carved out of spirit jade was smashed by Jing Tianqing against the wall. It shattered into pieces and fell to the ground. After returning from the auction, his anger completely erupted. That pitiful cup was not the first thing to be smashed into pieces. Jing Dongsheng lowered his eyes and said nothing. He let Jing Tianqing vent his anger. On the other side, Jing Dongjue couldn't stand it anymore. He frowned and said, Tianqing, that's enough. You know that Lin Yi and Li Ziyu have a good relationship. You still want to sow discord. It's good enough that you can come back. Jing Tianqing took a few heavy breaths and kicked a chair beside him into a wooden block. Only then did he open his mouth and say hatefully, we've set up this plan for so long, spent so many resources, and finally succeeded, but this bastard Li Ziyu jumped out and ruined it. How can I take this lying down? So what if you can't swallow it? We can't afford to provoke the Li family in the extreme north. Jing Dongjue smiled bitterly and shook his head, sighing lightly, as the saying goes, man proposes, God disposes. This time, it's not that our plan wasn't good enough, but that brat Lin Yi's luck is too good. There's nothing we can do about it. Forget it, with Li Ziyu helping him, there's no need to mention the alchemy opportunity again. Li Ziyu, humph, this bastard has humiliated our Jing family time and time again. I, Jing Tianqing, will never let this go. Jing Tianqing gnashed his teeth and said. He wanted to grab something to smash, but unfortunately, there was nothing left beside him. He could only continue to say, isn't the Li family in the extreme north awesome? When I go back, I will uproot them. Let's see how that idiot Li Ziyu can be arrogant to me. Jing Dongjue and Jing Dongsheng both thought that Jing Tianqing was speaking out of anger, so they didn't take it to heart at all. If the Li family in the extreme north was so easily killed, how could it be their Jing family's turn? Cousin, I haven't seen Tong Wulsuo in the past 2 days, and I don't know what he is busy with. Do you want to find him to discuss what to do next? Jing Dongjue didn't care about Jing Tianqing's heroic words, and turned to ask Jing Dongsheng, who looked a little listless. Jing Dongsheng was scared by the Li family in the extreme north. In any case, this was the Li family's territory. Offending the Li family here was many times more serious than offending the Dan Hall in the Middle Island. Hearing Jing Dongjue's question, Jing Dongsheng quickly shook his head and waved his hand. Forget it, it's better to avoid trouble. In the extreme North Island, Lin Yi has Li Ziyu's protection, we can't touch him. What's more, the Li family doesn't have a good impression of us. If we are provoked by Lin Yi, then we will be in big trouble. Tianqing, you also know your place. Before leaving the extreme North Island, don't provoke Lin Yi again. One of the rules they'd set before leaving Middle Island was to not mess with Lin Yi for no good reason. It was a shame that none of them followed that rule on the way here, and now they were back to square one. Jing Tianqing snorted, neither agreed nor refuted. Jing Dongjue nodded lightly and said, Cousin, what you said makes sense. After all, this is not our territory. In the case that we have offended the Li family, we should not act rashly. Wait until we return to the Middle Island, then we will think of a way to deal with Lin Yi. Jing Dongsheng got up and came to Jing Tianqing. He patted his grandson's shoulder and comforted him, Tianqing, you don't need to be unhappy. This time, we have gained something. At least, Lin Yi helped us refine a henna pill. Think about the auction price of 400 million yuan. This henna pill is a big profit for us. After we use this pill to build a good relationship with Zhuang Yifan, after we make a comeback in the Dongzhou continent, Lin Yi will be nothing. Jing Tianqing's face was still full of displeasure, but since his grandfather had said so, he couldn't say anything more. He reluctantly nodded and said, I know. Speaking of which, Qian Xiaodong disappeared yesterday. I don't know where he went. I'll go and see the situation, and also build a relationship with Yu Ziqing. That's right. Jing Dongsheng showed a gratified smile and said, Yu Ziqing is the young castellan of Mungmun City. It's definitely not wrong to build a good relationship with him. He will be a great help when we return to the Dongzhou continent. Zheng Tianqing curled his lips and showed a disapproving expression. I know. Okay, I'll go first. After saying that, he turned around and left the room without waiting for Zheng Dongsheng and Zheng Dongjue to respond. Yu Ziqing, the great help that Zheng Dongxing said was worth making, was a little overwhelmed at this time. Qian Xiaodong was missing, Uncle Li was missing, and more importantly, Uncle O was also missing. Yu Ziqing did not care whether Qian Xiaodong and his guard Uncle Li were dead or alive, but Uncle O was one of the top masters in Moon City. If it were not for his father's love for him, he would not have sent 2 masters in the early stage of the mountain opening stage to protect him. If one of them died inexplicably, no matter how much his father loved him, he would definitely be targeted by his other brothers. But this was all in the future, and he did not need to worry about it for the time being. Most importantly, if something happened to Uncle O, it was difficult for Yu Ziqing to be sure that he would be safe. When Aunt Lan saw Yu Ziqing pacing back and forth in the room, she couldn't help but say, "Young Castellan, old O has been missing for so long. I reckon that he's most likely dead. Why don't we ask that person for help? After all, he is a local tyrant. It should be more convenient for him to inquire about information." Chapter 59-48. After walking around for a while, Yu Ziqing continued, "There is something wrong with this matter. If Lin Yi can easily kill Uncle O and Uncle Li, then his strength is too terrifying. It is too dangerous for us to continue to stay on the extreme North Island. We'd better leave as soon as possible." "If we leave, what about that matter?" Aunt Lan said hesitantly, "Although there has been some progress, it is not stable yet. If there is any accident, all our previous efforts will be wasted." Yu Ziqing smiled sinisterly and said, "It doesn't matter. Don't we have Zheng Tianqing? I used to look down on that guy too much. I always thought he was an idiot. I didn't expect him to have some brains. We can make good use of him. I have hinted to him that he will be very happy to take over. Since you have decided, young governor, I have no opinion." Aunt Lan frowned slightly, but finally nodded in agreement. Yu Ziqing finally stopped walking around. He sat down and drank a mouthful of spirit tea. He sighed and said, "It's a pity that the backup plan to deal with Lin Yi can't be used. Before we leave, we have to stay away from this person. But this guy probably won't live for more than a few days." Aunt Lan was also regretful. From the beginning, she did not think that they should become enemies with a genius like Lin Yi. Unfortunately, Yu Ziqing was stubborn. Now, in order to avoid Lin Yi, they had to leave the extreme North Island early. As for Yu Ziqing's belief that Lin Yi would not live for more than a few days, Aunt Lan did not agree with him at all. On the contrary, she always felt that Lin Yi could grow into an existence that she needed to look up to. When Zheng Tianqing rushed to Yu Ziqing's residence, Lin Yi was taking Languza to all the delicacies in the extreme North Island. Originally, Wei Shenjin was also with them. However, compared with the delicacies, it was obvious that the beauty Shang attracted his attention more. Therefore, this guy reported to Lin Yi early and ran to find Shang Yuhua halfway. Languza was very indignant about this. He severely reprimanded this new brother of his for valuing a lover over a friend. Then, he very generously ate Wei Shenjin's portion as well. Lin Yi found it funny as he watched Languza eat and drink. After this guy came to Heaven Step Island, his appetite seemed to have increased a lot. Lin Yi wondered if this mutated sea flood dragon still had the Tao Tai gene. If this were to continue, famine would break out wherever he went. "Boss, you want to eat too?" Languza chewed on a piece of meat he didn't know what it was as he mumbled to Lin Yi. Lin Yi smiled and said, "I'm already full, you can eat by yourself." "Oh, then don't waste your share." Languza conveniently took the untouched portion of food in front of Lin Yi and happily threw it into his mouth. Lin Yi suddenly didn't know whether to laugh or cry. After all this time, this guy only asked him to eat to test him? In fact, he wanted to eat. Languza, speaking of which, there is a guy over there. It seems that his appetite is also very good. He can compete with you. Lin Yi had nothing to do, so he used his divine sense to wander around. He just happened to find a burly man who ate like Languza, so he treated it as an interesting matter. Languza raised his head and looked. Of course, he didn't see anyone. However, his divine sense quickly found that burly man. He immediately snorted and said, "Hateful guy, the smell on his body is really unpleasant." Smell? Languza, do you have dog genes? You can smell the smell of others from so far away? Lin Yi asked amusedly. It was a few miles away, even a dog couldn't smell it, right? Languza raised his eyebrows and swallowed the food in his mouth and said, "Boss, in fact, it's not that I smell anything, but when my divine sense swept him, I have a feeling that I hate him. Or, it's the smell on his body that makes me a little allergic." Lin Yi was speechless. It was the first time that he heard that someone's breath could make others allergic. What was this? Was it a mysterious killing skill? However, seeing that Languza didn't seem to be talking nonsense, he carefully used his divine sense to sweep the burly man a few times. He wanted to see how his breath made Languza allergic. Unfortunately, no matter how he looked, it was normal. There was nothing strange. Languza, it can't be that you hate someone who can compete with you for food has appeared, right? Lin Yi couldn't help but make such a ridiculous guess. However, if it was Languza, it was really very possible. When Languza heard what Lin Yi said, he actually thought very seriously for a moment. Then, he stuffed a piece of meat into his mouth and said, "Boss, you're really smart. Maybe it's really like this." Lin Yi was speechless. Just when he wanted to despise Languza, the ghostly thing laughed strangely and said, "Two stupid boys. Forget about that stupid sea dragon, his brain is full of meat. What can you expect from him? But you, this boy, are also like this. Really, you are marked by the company you keep. Being with this stupid sea dragon really makes you stupid." Being ridiculed by the ghostly thing, Lin Yi immediately smiled faintly and said, "Senior Ghost, it seems that I have spent much more time with you than Languza. You are also marked by the company you keep, right?" The ghostly thing sneered and said, "Of course, it's very difficult to become as good as me, but it's very easy to become as stupid as the stupid sea dragon. Obviously, you have chosen the easy path." Well, there was really no point in bickering with this ghostly thing. Lin Yi took the opportunity to change the topic. "Senior Ghost, what are you trying to say? The big man that your divine sense scanned is not a human at all. I can only tell you this much. I don't want to waste any more time with you. I'm going to continue my closed-door cultivation. Don't look for me if there's nothing important." The ghostly thing laughed strangely a few times and immediately went silent. Lin Yi was slightly startled. That big man was not a human? Just as he was about to ask about it, the ghostly thing went into closed-door cultivation again. He had no choice but to continue his research. If this guy was not a human, could it be a sea beast in human form? Just like Languza. But after Languza transformed into a human form, as long as he didn't deliberately release his aura, he was exactly the same as a human. This was thanks to his genetic mutation. If that big man was also a sea beast, it would be impossible for him to achieve the same level as Languza. Languza, carefully feel that big man and see if he is a sea beast. Lin Yi's expression became slightly dignified and whispered to Languza. If the sea beast could transform into a human form and enter the extreme North Island, then this crisis was too big. The extreme North Island could be captured at any time. Chapter 59-49. This completely alarmed the burly man. After all, the strength of Languza's divine sense couldn't be compared with Lin Yi's. His control of divine sense was also incomparable. It was impossible for such an action to go unnoticed. After feeling Languza's divine sense prying, the burly man directly used his own divine sense to investigate. The strength of his divine sense was not weak. His strength was at least above the mountain opening stage. Languza's body shook and he snorted, "Boss, that guy is not a sea beast. His breath doesn't have the smell of the sea. If he was a sea beast, I wouldn't hate him. However, he is indeed not a human. He is a member of the spirit beast clan." Lin Yi's divine sense easily intercepted the divine sense of the burly man. He used a simple divine sense whirlpool to completely annihilate it. Then, he turned his head and said in surprise, "The spirit beast clan doesn't stay in the South Island. What is he doing in the North Island? Could it be that he wants to expand? Even if he wants to expand, the span from the southernmost to the northernmost island is too big. No wonder the ghost could see through this guy. He was a member of the spirit beast clan. Even if he was disguised, the ghost, who was once a spirit beast elder, could tell at a glance. The burly man's divine sense was like a clay ox entering the sea. He instantly lost contact with his body. Moreover, there was a faint backlash. He immediately knew that he had encountered a master. Without any hesitation, he immediately got up and ran. Lin Yi pulled Languza and said, "Don't eat. Let's go and catch that guy first." Whether he was a sea beast or a spirit beast, it was a very serious matter to transform into a human and sneak into the North Island. After all, Li Ziyu was Lin Yi's friend. If the North Island was in trouble, Lin Yi would definitely not sit idly by. Languza hurriedly grabbed 2 pieces of meat and quickly ran over there with Lin Yi. If it weren't because there were more people here, Lin Yi almost wanted to use the thunder escape technique to chase after the burly man. The only drawback of the thunder escape technique was that the movement when it was used was too big. Even people in the distance could easily see the flashing lightning arc. Fortunately, in addition to the thunder escape technique, Lin Yi's extreme butterfly subtle steps was also very fast. It was very suitable for use in crowded places. After a few small flashes, he had left Languza behind. The burly man in front seemed to feel that he was being targeted by Lin Yi. His speed increased again. His whole person almost became an afterimage. Even if Lin Yi went all out to chase, the distance was gradually. If he didn't use the thunder escape technique, it seemed that he really couldn't catch up with this guy. He didn't know what his original body was. His speed was actually so fast. Fortunately, Lin Yi and Languza's divine sense had locked on this burly man. Even if they couldn't catch up with him for a while, as long as he didn't escape from the North Island, they were not afraid of him flying into the sky. They would still catch him sooner or later. However, in the middle of the chase, the burly man jumped into a building complex. Lin Yi's divine sense suddenly lost his trace. Damn! There is a prohibition to isolate divine sense in that area. Lin Yi cursed in a low voice. Even if his divine sense could tear these seals apart, it wouldn't be able to do it in a short time. Now, he could only chase after them and see if he could find the burly man with his naked eyes. There was still some distance between Languza and Lin Yi, so Lin Yi sent a voice transmission to him, "Languza, I will go in and find that guy. You cover the periphery of this area with your divine sense. Don't let that guy escape." As long as he was sure that the burly man was still in this area, even if Lin Yi couldn't find him, he could still inform Li Ziyu and ask the Li family to send people to search for him. In such a small area, it wouldn't take long even if they dug 3 feet into the ground. The plan was good, but before Lin Yi entered the area, a team of Northern Town guards patrolled over and directly blocked Lin Yi's way. "Stop, this is a restricted area. You are not allowed to enter." The leader of the Northern Town guards coldly raised the long sword in his hand and stood in front of Lin Yi. Lin Yi said seriously, "There was a spy just now. Hurry up and follow me to catch him." "Stop. If you take another step, we won't be polite anymore." The leader of the Northern Town guards saw that Lin Yi was still moving forward, so he took half a step back and pulled out his long sword. The other 9 Northern Town guards also pointed their weapons at Lin Yi. Lin Yi's face turned cold. He said coldly, "You ignored the spy just now, but now you are standing in front of me. Can I assume that you are in cahoots with the spy?" The leader of the northern town guards was not moved at all. He still said coldly, "We didn't see anyone else go in. We only saw you trying to break into the restricted area. This is your last warning. Leave now, or don't blame us for not showing mercy." At this time, Languza had already landed next to Lin Yi. Seeing the 10 aggressive northern town guards, he immediately rubbed his arms and said, "Who are you? How dare you warn my boss? Are you tired of living? Boss, can I beat them up?" Lin Yi raised his hand to stop Languza, who was ready to make a move. In any case, the northern town guards were Li Ziyu's subordinates. If you want to beat a dog, you have to look at its owner first. Moreover, this was the trouble of the extreme North Island. There was no need to be nosy and make Li Ziyu an enemy for no reason. More importantly, after being blocked by these guys, with the terrifying speed of the burly man, without the divine sense, it was impossible to know where he had escaped. Although they were sure that he was still in this area, it was not something that Lin Yi could find by himself. "All right, since you won't let me in, I won't go in. I'll wait for your young master to come, then I'll be able to go in, right?" Lin Yi smiled coldly. Anyone would feel uncomfortable if their good intentions were treated as malicious intent. "Don't use the name of the young master to pressure us. Wait until you invite the young master here." The leader was like a stone in a latrine pit. He was smelly and stubborn. He would not give in until now. A northern town guard behind him suddenly whispered, "Captain, this seems to be Master Lin Yi. He is the Master Lin who sold 400 million spiritual jades in an auction. He and the young master are really good friends." The leader of the northern town guards was slightly stunned. Although he felt that it was a bit tricky, he did not think that he had done anything wrong. He still stopped Lin Yi without taking a step back. Languza was very unhappy. He muttered to Lin Yi, "Boss, this guy is so annoying. Let me beat him up. I promise I won't kill him." Chapter 5950. He was too lazy to look for Li Ziyu, so he decided to use this method to attract the attention of the Li family in the extreme north. There would definitely be people coming to check if something like this happened in the city guards institution. Based on the incident with the sea beast yesterday, it was very likely that Li Ziyu would come in person. All Lin Yi needed to do was to wait here after the fireworks. "Languza, go and guard the other side. Don't let that guy sneak out," Lin Yi instructed with a calm expression. Although his divine sense could cover the entire periphery of this area, the burly man's speed was too fast. If he didn't let Languza go over to stand guard, it was very likely that he wouldn't be able to catch up to him even if he discovered his tracks. Languza agreed and looked at the 10 North Guard regretfully. What a great opportunity to fight. Unfortunately, his boss did not allow him to do it. He hoped that there would be a new opportunity on the other side. The leader of the North Guard was still expressionless. As long as Lin Yi did not enter the restricted area, he would not interfere no matter what he did. Of course, this was also because he knew Lin Yi's identity. If it was someone else who dared to set off fireworks in the city guards institution, they would immediately be sent to jail for free. Languza took a detour and ran in the opposite direction. Lin Yi did not have to wait for long before Li Ziyu hurried over with his North Guard guards. "Brother Lin, why are you here? What happened?" Li Ziyu was a little surprised when he saw Lin Yi. He also felt strange. Why did he see Lin Yi everywhere he went? Lin Yi nodded to Li Ziyu and said, "Brother Li, I was eating with my friends just now. We found a suspicious guy and chased him all the way here. The guy went inside and I was blocked by the North Guard. So I set off the fireworks and lured you here." "A suspicious guy? What does he look like? Why does Brother Lin think he is suspicious?" Li Ziyu didn't think that Lin Yi would be so bored as to come here and talk nonsense to him, so he asked solemnly. Lin Yi was the one who reminded him about the sea beast yesterday. Li Ziyu now had a great sense of trust in Lin Yi. As long as it was Lin Yi who said it, he would not doubt it. Lin Yi smiled and said, "Brotherly, I would like to ask, is there any restriction on spiritual beasts or sea beasts that can transform into human forms?" Spiritual beasts can go on the island as long as they have a proper identity card. Sea beasts can transform into human forms, but not sea beasts. The island has an ancient restriction specifically against sea beasts. Sea beasts that can transform into human forms will show once they come on the island. This auction is very important. Every spiritual beast that can transform into human forms has been driven away from the island. Guards are to the island. So, the sea beasts to sea beasts that can transform into human forms to human forms. To for the island for sea beasts to be to transform for the to be for. Sure enough, the guy that escaped into the guard station was a black card. Fortunately, Lin Yi did not know that spiritual beasts were allowed to enter the island. Otherwise, he would not have chased after him. In fact, many of Li Ziyu's words were incorrect. For example, the sea beasts would show their original forms when they came on the island. Languza, who was a member of the royal family of sea beasts, was obviously not one of them. It was probably a benefit brought by mutation. Theoretically, there were no spiritual beasts on the island. The management of the spiritual beasts on the island was definitely negligent. At least, that burly man was a genuine spiritual beast. This was something that Lin Yi was very sure of. Brotherly, according to my observation and estimation, the suspicious guy I mentioned just now is a spiritual beast that can transform into human forms. As for whether he has been on the island for a long time or this is his first time here, I have no idea. If Brotherly is interested, why don't you catch him first? Lin Yi pointed at the guard station and said with a faint smile. Li Ziyu's expression changed. He immediately ordered the northern garrison, seal off the area immediately. Gather all the northern garrison soldiers and search every inch of the island. We must find that spiritual beast. With Li Ziyu's order, the northern garrison soldiers who were blocking Lin Yi did not dare to have any objections. They immediately sent out the signal to gather and be on alert. The entire guard station was in an uproar. All the northern garrison soldiers were equipped as fast as they could and appeared in their respective areas. Li Ziyu said proudly, "Brother Lin, don't worry. This is one of the northern garrison stations. As long as the spiritual beast is still here, it will not be able to escape. Brotherly, it's not a big deal. I just feel that it's strange for a suspicious spiritual beast to appear at this time. Could it be related to the sea beasts?" This was what Lin Yi was most worried about. He guessed that Li Ziyu was the same. Sure enough, Li Ziyu's expression suddenly became serious. Although spirit beasts and sea beasts have never had any contact, these two things happened too coincidentally. We really have to pay attention to it. I won't say thank you words, but Brother Lin's affection for our extreme North Island is in my heart. Ha! It's important to be friends. It's just a small matter. Don't mention it. Lin Yi waved his hand with a smile and turned to look at the guard station. This was the northern garrison station. It was inappropriate for Lin Yi to go in and search directly. Anyway, he and Languza were guarding on both sides. Their divine senses were also monitoring the space outside the guard station. They were not afraid that the burly man would sneak out. Li Ziyu wanted to invite Lin Yi to go in and have a look, but Lin Yi declined. He did not say much. He just stood there with Lin Yi and chatted with him. After a while, a soldier from the northern garrison ran over and cupped his fists. He bowed and said, "Young master, we didn't find anyone suspicious in the station. All the northern garrison soldiers are here, except for 6 who are on vacation." Lin Yi suddenly frowned. He was very sure that the burly man had entered the building complex and did not leave in any other direction. Now that the northern garrison said that they could not find him, there were only 2 possibilities. Either he was hiding very well or someone was helping him in the dark. Needless to say, the latter was more likely. However, Lin Yi could not say this in front of Li Ziyu. Li Ziyu's face was also a bit pale. He also knew that Lin Yi would not lie to him, so there must be something wrong with the northern garrison. In addition, there was a sea beast above the mysterious ascending stage that broke through the restriction of the island. Even Okuda Dam and Lin Yi knew about it and even notified the northern garrison. However, the northern garrison had not found anything for 2 days, which made Li Ziyu feel that the northern garrison was really useless. Chapter 59-51. It would not be fun if the young island master lost his temper. I'll ask them to search again. We must find the spy who sneaked into the garrison. The guard quickly expressed his attitude. Although he did not think that a new search would make any difference, it was better than bearing the wrath of the young island master. Remember, even if you have to tear down the entire garrison, you must find the spiritual beast in human form. Li Ziyu emphasized. This was related to the safety of the northernmost island. He would not take it lightly. Yes, young island master. The northern garrison guard replied respectfully and ran back to give the latest order. After the time it took for an incense to burn, the same northern garrison guard hurried out and reported with a bow, "Young master, we didn't find any trace of outsiders, but we found a tunnel over 100 meters deep in a secluded corner of the City Guards Institute. We haven't found out where it leads to yet. A bunch of useless fools. They don't even know that someone dug a tunnel in their garrison." Li Ziyu was going crazy. He was so embarrassed that he could not say anything. Lin Yi was even more certain that there was a spy in the northern garrison who was helping the spiritual beast. Otherwise, how could there be such a tunnel and the spiritual beast know where it was? Although Lin Yi's divine sense could reach hundreds of meters underground, who would extend their divine sense that far? The traitor was rather cautious. However, he had managed to fool Lin Yi and Languza's divine senses and sent the muscular man, who had transformed into a spiritual beast, out. Li Ziyu suppressed his anger and turned to Lin Yi. "Brother Lin, I'm sorry. Let's go take a look at the tunnel together. At least we need to know where it leads to." "Okay, let's go together." Lin Yi nodded gently. Compared to the tunnel, he was more interested in finding out who the spy in the northern garrison was. The northern garrison guard lowered his head in shame after being scolded by Li Ziyu. When he heard that the two were going to check the tunnel, he quickly led the way and led them there. Lin Yi looked calm on the surface, but he was very vigilant. Since he had confirmed that there was a spy in the northern garrison, he had to prevent the spy from attacking Li Ziyu, the young island master. Fortunately, the strongest among the northern garrison guards was only at the peak of the advanced stage of mysterious ascension. Lin Yi was confident that he could easily defend against such a powerful opponent. After a few turns, a hidden cave appeared in front of him. Judging from the surroundings, there were traces of a concealment formation set up here, but he couldn't tell the level of the formation anymore. Li Ziyu must have said that he would find it even if he had to tear down the guard station. The North Guard's violent search had destroyed the concealment formation, revealing this cave. Lin Yi used his divine sense to explore the cave. He did not find any danger. Moreover, several soldiers of the northern garrison had already entered the cave. Therefore, he and Li Ziyu did not stop and jumped directly into the cave. After quickly descending from the slope to the underground, Lin Yi's divine sense had confirmed that the length of the tunnel was more than 20 miles. The exit should be near the northern beach of the extreme North Island. Li Ziyu didn't say a word as he walked quickly. His mind was a bit chaotic. The successive events made him doubt his control over the northernmost island. Moreover, he had a faint feeling of danger. This danger was not for Li Ziyu alone, but for the entire Li family, or even the entire extreme North Island. If he was not careful, the entire extreme North Island would be in danger. When Lin Yi and Li Ziyu entered the tunnel, Zheng Tianqing was looking at the garrison from afar. He was originally going to find Yu Ziqing, but on the way, he saw the firework Lin Yi made, so he came to see what was going on. If he did not see Lin Yi there, Zheng Tianqing might have just left after a few glances. Although his two grandfathers had told him to stay away from Lin Yi, he would still be very concerned if they really met. It would be best if he could take advantage of the situation to trick Lin Yi. After Lin Yi and Li Ziyu entered the garrison, Zheng Tianqing suddenly heard a slight rustling sound. Then, he heard a low male voice, "Zheng Tianqing, find a place where there is no one to talk." Zheng Tianqing's eyes narrowed slightly. He looked left and right without batting an eyelid. When he found that no one was paying attention to him, he slowly left the circle of the audience and walked into an empty alley. "What do you need me to do?" After Zheng Tianqing confirmed that there was no one around, he asked in a low voice. In his ear was a miniature communication device. He heard that it was a high-tech product from the secular world. He did not know what high-tech was, but this thing was very useful. As long as it did not exceed the range of communication, two people could easily achieve real-time communication. It was very convenient. Moreover, this thing was like a mole stuck to the inside of the ear. It did not hinder the usual movements, and no one would notice this thing. You immediately meet up with Yu Ziqing and make some noise on the island to divert the attention of Li Ziyu and the others. The low male voice quickly gave the order, and then warned, "Be careful not to expose your identity." Zheng Tianqing's eyes flashed slightly. "Yu Ziqing is really one of your people. When did you guys form a relationship with him? Before or after me?" "Zheng Tianqing, now is not the time for you to ask questions. Pay attention to your words and tone. Also, Yu Ziqing is not one of us for the time being. You can rest assured that he will not have the power to command you." The low male voice sternly reprimanded, and then comforted. "Okay, then I will try my best to recruit him and let him be my little brother." Zheng Tianqing chuckled and looked around. "Can you tell me what's going on? What is your plan on the extreme North Island?" The low male voice was slightly impatient. "Now you are not qualified to know. You just need to follow the instructions. This is the first time you really work for us. I hope you can perform well." Zheng Tianqing was suddenly speechless. He had indeed just joined them. It was a bit wishful thinking to want to know enough all at once. So although he was not very comfortable in his heart, he could only pinch his nose and accept it. I just want to better cooperate with you. Since it is not convenient for you to tell me, then forget it." Zheng Tianqing laughed a few times and found himself a way out. Chapter 59-52. The corner of Zheng Tianqing's mouth twitched a few times. He suppressed his displeasure and said, "I know. I'm going to find Yu Ziqing now. Is there anything else?" "No, you can go now." The deep male voice did not say much. As for how to carry out his mission, it was up to Zheng Tianqing. This was also a kind of test. If Zheng Tianqing couldn't do it well, then it wouldn't be a pity if he was killed by the people of the extreme North Island. If he could successfully complete this task, perhaps he would become the focus of training. When Zheng Tianqing set off to find Yu Ziqing again, Lin Yi and Li Ziyu had already left the tunnel with a few northern garrison soldiers. The exit was indeed on the beach in the north. The northern garrison soldiers who had arrived earlier were scattered around to search. However, Lin Yi did not have much hope for them. He had already spread out his divine sense to search for the burly man in the widest range. Unfortunately, after so much time had passed, the man had already left the area that Lin Yi could sense. Moreover, the man was very meticulous. He did not leave any trace on the beach. "Brotherly, we can't find that guy. Let's go back first. These northern garrison soldiers should go with us. It's useless to keep them here. After all, he is a master in the mountain opening period. Even if we find him, they will just die." Lin Yi shook his head and turned to look at Li Ziyu. He was ready to send him back first. "Brother Lin is right. Let's go back first." Li Ziyu forced a smile. He was thinking about what to do next. He could ignore the spiritual beast that had transformed into a human, but he had to find the person who dug the tunnel in the northern garrison soldiers. Li Ziyu decided to take control of all the northern garrison guards and interrogate them individually. He would not hesitate even if he had to lock them all up. After all, this was not the only northern garrison guard on the northernmost island. That was because Li Ziyu was a kind person. If it were a ruthless leader, he would have killed every single one of the northern garrison guardians if he could not find out who the traitor was. Lin Yi hesitated for a while and decided to remind Li Ziyu, "Brotherly, this may be a separate incident, but I have a feeling that the spiritual beast that appeared out of nowhere is related to the sea beasts. You'd better find a way to fix the restriction formation on the extreme North Island as soon as possible. Don't let your guard down on other things." Other things were naturally looking for the traitor in the northern garrison. Of course, Lin Yi could not say it clearly, but Li Ziyu knew it clearly. "Brother Lin, don't worry. I've already talked to my old man about the restriction formation. I have my old mans of the ancient dynasty. I can't set the restriction formation. As for the other things, I will of them." Li Ziyu nodded. When he saw the exit of the underground passage, his face turned ugly. Such a long underground passage could not be built overnight. There was no doubt that the traitor had been lurking for a long time. The loosening of the restriction formation might be caused by him. Perhaps there was more than one person who betrayed the extreme North Island. If there was only one person, it was hard to imagine that no one would find out after doing so many things. Lin Yi's eyes turned to the vast ocean under the night. There was a powerful seal passed down from the ancient times there. Even an Earth-class master like that ghost wouldn't be able to break it if he wasn't familiar with it, let alone Lin Yi. "Brotherly, maybe we can start by asking the people who are responsible for the maintenance or monitoring of the restriction formation." Lin Yi reminded him casually and did not say anything else. Li Ziyu cupped his hands at Lin Yi and nodded gently. The restriction formation had loosened, but no one reported it. There must be something wrong with the people who were monitoring and maintaining it. Besides, when the sea monsters above the mysterious ascending stage entered the safe area, Okuda-ba sent someone to warn them, but there was no response. There must be something wrong with this. These were all aspects that could be investigated. However, Li Ziyu's mood became heavier when he thought about how the Northern Guard's defense had become. "You guys, destroy this passage completely and then come back." Li Ziyu gave the order to the Northern Guard and left with Lin Yi. The Northern Garrison guards who were with him stayed behind as well. Firstly, they were there to help destroy the tunnel, and secondly, they were there to keep an eye on the Northern Garrison guards, in case the mole was among them and took the opportunity to slip away. At the same time, Jing Tianqing had arrived at Yu Ziqing's residence. Because he knew that Yu Ziqing was also with him, his attitude was not as respectful as before. "Young Governor Yu, I have something to discuss with you this time." Jing Tianqing casually cupped his fists and sat down casually. If it was before, he would always bow and cupped his fists, not daring to make any mistakes. However, it was different now. Just a small detail like this made Jing Tianqing secretly happy. Of course, Yu Ziqing was unhappy when Jing Tianqing was happy. Did this idiot follower think that he could be so presumptuous just because he was familiar with me? However, when he thought that he was about to blame Jing Tianqing, he could only endure this little bit of unhappiness. "Tianqing, I also have something to discuss with you. It seems that we have a tacit understanding." After chuckling, Yu Ziqing reached out and patted Jing Tianqing's shoulder, looking very friendly. Jing Tianqing thought that the deep male voice had also informed Yu Ziqing that this was what he wanted to discuss, so he wasn't surprised. "Young City Lord Yu is right, our tacit understanding will definitely get better and better in the future. Do you want me to say it or you want me to say it?" Yu Ziqing was thinking about how to make Jing Tianqing take the blame willingly, so he waved his hand politely. "You mentioned it first, so of course you should say it first." "I'm all ears." "All right, then I'll say it." Jing Tianqing did not stand on ceremony. Since he was already a member of that organization, and Yu Ziqing was not yet, he was considered Yu Ziqing's senior anyway. It was very normal for him to announce the task. After clearing his throat, Jing Tianqing adjusted his posture, slightly raised his chin and said, "Young Governor Yu, according to Shang Feng's order, we have to secretly create something to divert Li Ziyu's or the Li family's attention. However, during this process, we must not be seen through. Do you understand what I mean?" Chapter 59-53. That's right. Zheng Tianqing saw his expression, and an inexplicable sense of refreshment rose in his heart. He immediately pretended to be indifferent and nodded. "I know that young City Lord Yu is not a member of our organization, but it doesn't matter. With a talent like young City Lord Yu, as long as you are willing, you will be able to join us smoothly and quickly rise to a higher position." On the surface, it seemed like he was praising Yu Ziqing, but in fact, it was Zheng Tianqing showing off in an obscure way. However, Yu Ziqing didn't care about these details. If Zheng Tianqing was a member of that organization, then his idea of shifting the blame would be completely useless. Fortunately, he let this idiot say it first. Otherwise, if the organization knew his thoughts, then it wouldn't be easy to deal with it. Although Yu Ziqing and that organization were only in a cooperative relationship, Night Moon City did indeed benefit from the cooperation. If he didn't do it well, he wouldn't be able to explain it when he returned. Zheng Tianqing was proud of himself for a while. Seeing that Yu Ziqing didn't have any reaction, he couldn't help but feel strange. "Young City Lord Yu, do you have any opinions about this operation? Wasn't that what you wanted to say just now?" "Yes, that's what I wanted to say just now." Yu Ziqing quickly took the opportunity to hide his embarrassment and laughed dryly. "I was just thinking about how to handle this matter properly. It's really not easy to create trouble without being discovered. I have to think about it carefully." "You're right, so we have to discuss it properly." Zheng Tianqing deeply agreed with this. He didn't want to carry out a stupid mission and put himself in danger. Safety first. "Tianqing, do you have any ideas? Why don't you tell me first?" Yu Ziqing smiled and moved closer, showing a very intimate attitude. In fact, he wanted to calm the chaos in his heart. He was thinking about how to escape from the extreme North Island without any worries. How could he have the mood to accompany this idiot follower to cause trouble? But if King trouble came to his door, it didn't seem appropriate to run away directly. Aunt Lan vaguely looked at Yu Ziqing, and she couldn't provide him with any ideas at the moment. "I can't think of any ideas at the moment. Young City Lord Yu is wise and resourceful. Do you have any suggestions to discuss?" Zheng Tianqing looked like a leader listening to opinions. He picked up the spirit tea on the side and took a sip. "I haven't thought of it yet. Let's think about it carefully." Yu Ziqing said perfunctorily, leaned back in his chair, and casually changed the topic. "Oh right, did something happen in the north just now? Did you find anything on your way here?" "Something happened at the Northern City Guards Institution. I'm not too sure about the details. Lin Yi and that Li Ziyu both went there, so I didn't dare to get too close." Zheng Tianqing only paid attention to Lin Yi. As for what happened at the City Guards Institution, he really didn't care. The guard station in the north? Yu Ziqing's heart skipped a beat. His body, which had just leaned back against the back of the chair, straightened up again. "Isn't there someone I've introduced to you in the City Guard station in the north? Could it be that Li Ziyu and Lin Yi went there because of him?" Zheng Tianqing was momentarily stunned. Someone in the Northern Garrison Command was connected to this organization? Wait, something happened at the City Guards Institution, and the higher-ups ordered him to do something to divert attention. He wouldn't believe it if these two things weren't connected. If it was someone in the City Guards Institution who was connected to the organization, then the order was easy to understand. Obviously, that person in the Northern Garrison Command was very important to this organization. Only by diverting Li Ziyu's attention could they better protect that person. Zheng Tianqing felt that he was really a genius. He could actually infer so much information from just a few words. The situation is unclear, but we have already prepared for the worst. That's why we have the current plan. Zheng Tianqing nodded, pretending to be profound. Then, he casually asked, "Young Governor Yu, how's the progress of what you wanted to do this time?" It's going very well. But if something really happened to that person in the Northern Garrison Command, I'm afraid there will be a lot of variables. Tianqing, will you also be responsible for this matter this time? If you are in charge, I think the possibility of success will be higher. Yu Ziqing answered Jing Tianqing casually without any doubt. Moreover, Yu Ziqing finally had the opportunity to mention this matter. He wanted to seize the opportunity to continue his journey of shifting the blame. These two guys were also interesting. One wanted to inquire about this matter indirectly, and the other was racking his brains to get rid of this matter. If they could make it clear, perhaps they could hit it off. This matter has been mentioned to me by the higher-ups, but my main priority is to complete this operation. If young Governor Yu needs my help, you can let me know at any time. I will definitely do my best to provide assistance. After all, we are all working for the organization. Zheng Tianqing patted his chest righteously. In fact, he really wanted to directly ask what Yu Ziqing was doing. Unfortunately, he didn't dare to ask so obviously. If this matter was spread to the organization, who knew what would happen? Yu Ziqing was secretly happy. It was enough to have Zheng Tianqing's words. When the time came, he could ask him to help and slowly let him become the leader. Then, he could take the opportunity to withdraw. Unfortunately, in this case, it seemed that there was no way to leave the extreme North Island tomorrow. It seemed that he could only keep a distance from Lin Yi and not give him a chance to deal with him. That being said, it was still very difficult to carry out the plan of stirring up trouble without giving Lin Yi a chance to make a move. Yu Ziqing and Aunt Lan looked at each other again. Both of them had the same meaning in their eyes: delay. Thinking about it carefully, if something happened to the Northern Garrison Command, and if the person introduced to this organization had a problem, then Yu Ziqing's matter certainly did not need to continue. If he did not stir up trouble for a day or two, the auction would be over. At that time, it would not be strange for the two of them to directly return to the East Continent. After having an idea, Yu Ziqing began to talk in circles with Zheng Tianqing. They did not come up with any effective plan until dawn. The auction on the fourth day was about to begin. Lin Yi walked slowly on the road to the auction house with Languza and Wei Shenjin. After sending Li Ziyu back yesterday, he ran around the extreme North Island a few times and searched back and forth with his divine sense. However, he did not find any trace of that burly man, as if this guy had disappeared into thin air. Based on the previous deep underground passage, Lin Yi deliberately penetrated his divine sense 100 or 200 meters underground, but unfortunately, he did not find anything new. Chapter 59-54. Languza tossed something into his mouth as he scanned his surroundings with his divine sense. Yesterday, he had let that fellow who had transformed into a spiritual beast slip away. Thus, he was still very serious about searching for clues today. As long as he was able to be scanned by his divine sense, based on the spiritual beast aura on that fellow's body, there was absolutely no place for him to hide. Boss, what do you think the guy yesterday is? He is actually faster than me. Of course, if he goes to the sea, I can chase him back and forth a few times in a minute. Languza's speed was really not his strong point on land, so he was still very dissatisfied. Lin Yi smiled faintly. I guess it is some kind of spirit beast in terms of speed. Otherwise, even if it is on land, it will not be faster than you. Languza was still very pleased with these words. It didn't matter even if he knew that the boss was comforting him. Unfortunately, he didn't find that bastard spirit beast along the way, otherwise, this fight would definitely be very comfortable. After the three people entered the fifth box, the auction soon began. After 3 days of auction, the heat was still not reduced. From the beginning, it was very hot. Unfortunately, except for the soul wood, Lin Yi didn't care about anything else, so there were only a few opportunities for him to make a move. In the sixth box, Yu Ziqing also looked at the auction stage below absent-mindedly. He didn't have any interest at all. Originally, he didn't want to participate in the auction. Lin Yi was next door. He really didn't want to be so close to this dangerous guy, but Zheng Tianqing kept talking with him about how to make trouble on the island in the extreme north to divert Li Ziyu's attention, forcing him to come and stay next door to Lin Yi instead of continuing to discuss some bullshit plan with Zheng Tianqing. But not long after the auction began, the micro-communication device in his ear rang, and a low male voice directly appeared in his ear. "Young master, you still have the mood to participate in the auction? Why didn't you cooperate with Zheng Tianqing to make trouble on the island and divert the attention of the Li family?" Yu Ziqing suddenly sat up straight. Listening to this guy, he knew that he should be on the island in the extreme north. Otherwise, he wouldn't be able to grasp the situation so accurately. It was estimated that the communication distance of this communication device couldn't be too far. "Please watch your tone. I'm not a member of your organization. Don't use that commanding tone to talk to this young master." Yu Ziqing clearly expressed his displeasure. In reality, Night Moon City only had the status of a collaborator. They had no intention of joining anyone else's organization. The deep male voice was silent for a moment before he continued, "You're right, but don't forget, we have an agreement between us. We've done what we should do, and I hope young city lord can also do what you should do. Tell me first, what happened at the Shangwei Institute last night? Is the person I introduced okay?" Yu Ziqing did not answer the other party's question, but asked the key question. "There was an accident, and now the Li family has isolated that place. Although he hasn't been exposed yet, he can't be of much help. So I need you to divert the attention of the Li family, and I may need you to complete the rest of the things yourself," the deep male voice said slowly. His tone was still very annoying to Yu Ziqing. But now was not the time to care about this. Yu Ziqing took a deep breath and put forward his own idea. "Without the cooperation of the internal people, even if I know what to do, there is no way I can do it. I can't do what you said. I'm sorry, I have to go back to the East Continent today." Not to mention the dangerous guy Lin Yi was watching from the side. Just the thing that he needed to do was enough to kill him without a burial place. If the other party did not offer a bargaining chip that Night Moon City could not refuse, Yu Ziqing would not need to get involved in this mess. His father had told him to try his best not to provoke the people of the Li family in the extreme north. If he really did that thing, it would not be a matter of provoking them, but a situation where the Li family of the extreme north would not rest until one of them was dead. "Young master, maybe you should think about the consequences of going back today." The deep male voice chuckled, as if he had Yu Ziqing in the bag. "Do you think that you can easily withdraw now? Don't be naive, you have already been involved in this matter. Since it has already started, there is no way to stop it. Otherwise, Night Moon City will not only offend the Li family in the extreme north, but also offend our organization. Do you really think that Night Moon City can remain unscathed under the revenge of these two parties?" Yu Ziqing was secretly shocked. He had to admit that this guy's words were very reasonable. If he insisted on leaving, he would really offend both parties at the same time. Although Night Moon City was powerful, it might not be able to withstand such a blow. "What kind of organization are you? Don't talk to me about the Auction Association of South Continent anymore. No one is a fool, tell me your real identity." Yu Ziqing thought for a moment and put forward his request coldly. Previously, the deep male voice had been contacting him in the name of the Auction Association of South Continent. He said that the Auction Association of South Continent was originally going to hold a grand auction, but it was taken by the island of the extreme north. After this top-level auction, even if the Auction Association of South Continent reluctantly held an auction, it would not be able to attract enough people to participate. After all, people who could participate in the top-level auction were not always available. After the island of the extreme north consumed a lot of people, it was self-evident how many people would be left. But as the plan went on, Yu Ziqing felt that something was wrong. How could a mere auction association have so much power? Were they trying to ruin the auction of the island of the extreme north? Obviously, they wanted to swallow the entire island of the extreme north, okay? The deep male voice chuckled and said, "Young master, you are thinking too much. I am indeed a member of the Auction Association of South Continent, but I can also tell you that there is an even more powerful organization behind our association. I can't tell you the specific details, unless you are willing to join us. Don't worry, you are the young master of UUS City. Joining our organization will not bring shame to your identity. I believe that UUS City is really nothing in your eyes. His words were not polite at all, but Yu Ziqing felt that he was speaking the truth. He didn't know why, but he had this intuition. Aunt Lan turned to Yu Ziqing and winked at him, hinting him not to agree to any of the requests of the man. Even if she couldn't hear the man's words, she could guess that it was definitely not a good thing. Yu Ziqing shook his head slightly in response to Aunt Lan's concern. He then said, "If you want me to join you, just the previous conditions are not enough. Shouldn't you show me more power? Otherwise, as the young master of UUS City, do you think it is necessary for me to join an organization that is inferior to UUS City?" Chapter 59-55. What you said makes sense. It doesn't matter. It's normal to have such doubts. I'm not asking you to join in now. What I want is for you to complete the contents of our agreement. I don't care how you do it. Anyway, you must complete it before tomorrow's dawn. Otherwise, it will be regarded as your failure. You know what the consequences will be. The deep male voice was very indifferent, and he even threatened Yu Ziqing. Yu Ziqing was extremely angry, but there was nothing he could do. He could only grit his teeth and agree. Now he wanted to go to Tianqing to discuss the problem of making trouble in the extreme North Island. If he did not make some noise, how could he complete the task in one day? Moreover, Tianqing, the idiot follower, had said that he could go to him for help when he needed it. Now was the time when he needed it. Yu Ziqing, who was feeling depressed and angry, looked up at the projection array formation in the hall. It showed that the bid was 5 million spirit jades. He didn't know what was being auctioned, so he directly called out 50 million spirit jades. He was in a bad mood, so he wanted to smash people with spirit jades. The person who bid before wanted to cry but had no tears. Huang Wenjing had already bid for the second time, and it was about to be finalized. Where did this idiot come from? He directly added more than 30 million spirit jades. The original bid was not even 20 million spirit jades. Young master, what's going on? What did you agree to? Aunt Lan had been anxious for a long time. Seeing Yu Ziqing bid, she knew that the negotiation was over, so she quickly asked. As for the 50 million spirit jades, it was a small matter. She could just throw it to the roadside beggars. Yu Ziqing angrily slapped the tea table next to him. I have to agree. That guy threatened me. If I don't agree, our Moonlight City will be in trouble. There is no other way. I have to complete it before tomorrow's dawn. Aunt Lan's face suddenly became ugly. Complete it before tomorrow's dawn? She knew how difficult it was. Even if Uncle O was still here, it would not be so easy, let alone the two of them now. Aunt Lan, don't worry about it. I know what I'm doing. Yu Ziqing, am not so easily troubled. I will definitely solve it smoothly. Yu Ziqing clenched his fists hard and then completed the transaction of 50 million for an unknown item. Wei Shenjin, who was in booth 5, clicked his tongue in admiration and said, it seems that Yu Ziqing is also a stupid person with a lot of money. Spending 50 million spirit jades on some trash, what a waste. Languza had a look of approval on his face. That's right, that's right. 50 million spirit jades. How much food can you buy? That's practically a mountain. Imagining a mountain of meat right in front of him, Languza even revealed an intoxicated expression. Lin Yi could only express that he was speechless. The next item came out. It was a piece of metal the size of a wash basin. The surface of the metal was constantly flowing with ripples, and its shape was constantly changing. Starry sky flowing flame gold, an extremely rare casting material, but the most precious thing about this thing is not its rarity, but its ability to directly cover the surface of any refined weapon, armor, props, etc., forming a perfect additional layer of defense. It can also provide the ability to fire attacks. At the same time, it is immune to a certain level of fire attacks. It can also improve the attributes of the covered item. The starting price is 10 million spirit jades, and each bid must not be less than 500,000 spirit jades. Huang Wenjing introduced with a smile and then announced the start of the auction. Young City Lord Yu, who was in a bad mood, directly bid 30 million spirit jades. He looked like he was not short of money. After listening to Huang Wenjing's introduction, Lin Yi was very interested in this starry sky flowing flame gold. He wondered if it would have any effect on the high-tech flying saucer refined by Han Jingjing. After buying the soul cultivation wood, he was going to use the flying saucer to fly back to the Middle Island. If this starry sky flowing flame gold could improve the performance of the flying saucer, then it would be a good choice to spend some spirit jades to buy it. 40 million spirit jades. Lin Yi also felt rich and overbearing at this moment. As such, he did not care about tens of millions of spirit jades. When Yu Ziqing saw the bid from booth number 5, his heart suddenly trembled. What he feared the most right now was that he would have to deal with Lin Yi. If he tried to snipe at Lin Yi like he did at the beginning of the auction, he would not dare to do such a thing. Therefore, when Lin Yi bid, Yu Ziqing immediately extinguished his anger. In any case, he had no interest in the starry sky flowing flame gold. As such, he decided to just let Lin Yi bid. Yu Ziqing's booth number 6 went silent. Lin Yi thought that he could easily win the bid for the starry sky flowing flame gold. He did not expect that another booth would add another 2 million spirit jades. Booth number 8 also followed suit and added another 3 million spirit jades. It looked like the value of this starry sky flowing flame gold had been underestimated. Unexpectedly, so many people liked it. It was not inferior to Lin Yi's spirit tempering pill. However, thinking about it, this thing could directly improve the attributes of weapons and armors. Although it was an external item, it was not much different from a spirit tempering pill's effect of tempering one's spiritual consciousness. In fact, the effect might even be better. Therefore, it was normal for so many people to bid for it. Lin Yi was just about to add another 10 million spirit jades when the sound amplifying array formation in booth number 8 suddenly turned on. I am Morning Star City's Lu Dachang. I have taken a fancy to this starry sky flowing flame gold. Moreover, I only have this many spirit jades. If anyone wants to be coveted by me, then just continue bidding. This smelly rogue. Lin Yi couldn't help but laugh. He had initially thought that Lu Dachang had curbed his character after arriving at the northern island. However, he never expected that he would still be the same as before. He even dared to bid for it in the Northern Islands auction. However, this old rogue's strength had increased a lot. He had already reached the peak of the mountain opening intermediate stage. His cultivation speed was quite good. He should have had some fortuitous encounters in the past 2 years. For the sake of their acquaintance, Lin Yi didn't try to tear down his stage. If Lu Dachang could win it, then he would go back and extort some money from him. In any case, half of that large clump of starry sky flowing flame gold was more than enough. If someone didn't ignore Lu Dachang, it wouldn't matter if Lin Yi continued bidding. At that time, it wouldn't be as if he didn't give him face. Huang Wenjing on the stage warned in displeasure, the VIP in booth number 8, please don't make such threatening and intimidating remarks in the auction. Otherwise, our auction house has the right to disqualify you from the auction. A similar thing had happened before. Although Zheng Dongjue of the pill hall ended up in a sorry state, it didn't mean that the auction house would continue to tolerate this kind of thing. Therefore, Huang Wenjing immediately responded with a very tough attitude. Chapter 59-56. Lin Yi snickered in his heart. Who said that this old scoundrel was impulsive and brainless? This was clearly an extremely shrewd old fox. He knew that making him owe him a favor was much more precious than a mere few tens of millions of spirit jades. Perhaps this Lu Dachang had originally bid for this starry sky flowing flame gold to make friends with Lin Yi. Lu Dachang should have already known about the booth Lin Yi was in. Seeing Lin Yi increase the price by a large margin, he understood that Lin Yi was very interested in the starry sky flowing flame gold. Therefore, he pretended to be stubborn and forcibly bid for it. Otherwise, Lu Dachang would not have automatically sent out the starry sky flowing flame gold without even giving Lin Yi a chance to speak. In that case, it would be impolite for me to refuse. Lin Yi also did not stand on ceremony with Lu Dachang. After putting the starry sky flowing flame gold into his storage bag, he also returned the favor and gave his promise. Old Lu, if you need to refine any medicinal pills in the future, feel free to look for me. Even if I can't do it for free, at least I can give you a discount. Lu Dachang immediately felt overjoyed. He had made friends with Lin Yi in order to get this promise. A profound ranked grade 2 alchemist would not help you refine pills just because you gave them a reward. Sometimes, even if you gave them a lot of money, you might not be able to ask them to refine a medicinal pill for you. Ha ha ha, Master Lin is really straightforward. This old Lu has a very straightforward temperament. In the future, I will definitely have to trouble you. If you need any help from this old Lu, Master Lin, feel free to speak up. I will absolutely not refuse. Lu Dachang patted his chest with a peng 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 sound. The people passing by looked at him strangely. However, after he glared at them, they immediately sped up and left this place. Today, Li Ziyu did not come to participate in the auction. Most likely, yesterday's matter had not come to an end yet. Therefore, he could not split himself into two. Lin Yi decided to look for him alone to understand some of the progress. Lu Dachang saw that Lin Yi was not in the mood to say more, so he took Lu Xiaozhong and left. As usual, Wei Shenjin slipped away to look for Shang Yuhua. Lin Yi took Languza directly to the Li family's mansion in the extreme north. If Li Ziyu wasn't there, he could talk to Li Zaixiang. Master Lin, I wonder if you're here for the young island lord or the island lord today? When the guards of the Li clans saw Lin Yi, they hurriedly greeted him respectfully. This was a person that both the island lord and the young island lord valued. Who would dare to slight him? Is your young island lord here? Lin Yi asked casually. After all, he was more familiar with Li Ziyu. It would be best if he could find him. The guard smiled and shook his head, then made a gesture to invite him in. The young island lord has not returned since he went out this morning. Master Lin, why don't you go to the living room and rest for a while? I think the young island lord will be back soon, or should I inform the island lord? Lin Yi and Languza waited in the living room for a while before Li Zaixiang walked out quickly. Ha ha ha, nephew Lin, you haven't forgotten that I'm still a patient these 2 days. Could it be that you're afraid that I'll force you to refine pills? Before Li Zaixiang came in, he laughed heartily and joked. Uncle Li must be joking. If I could refine it, why would I need you to force me? Lin Yi got up and respectfully cupped his fists to greet him. Then, he introduced Languza. Li Zaixiang also warmly greeted Languza and then signaled the two to sit down and talk. Nephew Lin, I heard from my stinky brat that you have helped our Li family a lot these 2 days. I won't say too many polite words. Anyway, you and that stinky brat are like brothers. In the future, the extreme North Island will be your home. I have already ordered people to clean up a small courtyard next to that stinky brat's residence. If you don't mind, you can be his companion. Li Zaixiang smiled gently. These words were not said to win over Lin Yi, but from the bottom of his heart. Lin Yi was also slightly moved. He could feel that Li Zaixiang's words were not mixed with the slightest utilitarian heart. It was completely like an elder talking to a younger generation. Thank you Uncle Li for your kindness. If I have time, Lin Yi will definitely come to visit you and Brother Li often. Lin Yi smiled and cupped his fists to express his thanks. However, he was destined not to stay in one place for a long time. So, he could only express his gratitude for Li Zaixiang's invitation. Nephew Lin, you must have come today for the matter of these 2 days, right? I wonder if there are any new discoveries? After the greetings, Li Zixiang went straight to the point. Although this matter was handled by Li Ziyu, he, as the island lord, was also paying close attention to the development of the situation. He even had more information than Li Ziyu. Lin Yi said in his heart, I came here to inquire about some information. How could there be any new discoveries? Uncle Li, in fact, I want to see how the progress is on your side. Is there anything I can help with? Lin Yi told the truth. But before Li Zixiang could speak, there was a violent explosion in the center of the extreme North Island, and there was a powerful aftermath of the battle. Li Zixiang and Lin Yi's complexion changed at the same time. The two people's spiritual senses swept out instantly. They found that the fluctuations of the battle were not far from the auction house. Moreover, the 5 cultivators involved were not weak. 2 were at the early stage of mountain opening, and 3 were at the peak of the late stage of profound ascension. If it were not for the defensive restrictions on the buildings on the extreme North Island, it would have been razed to the ground by these 5 guys. How dare you? How dare you fight in my extreme North Island? Do you really think that our extreme North Island is a tiger that has fallen to the plains? Li Zixiang stood up with a cold expression. He cupped his hands towards Lin Yi and said, Nephew Lin, it seems that I need to deal with it personally. You sit for a while, I will be back soon. Then, let's have a few drinks. Uncle Li, let's go together. Although I don't know what happened, there may be new clues. Lin Yi already had doubts about this inexplicable fight. How could the people who could come to the extreme North Island lack self-control? It was precisely because the extreme North Island forbade the use of force. Therefore, those who had grudges would come to the extreme North Island to participate in the auction. Now that there was an inexplicable fight, it was obvious that something special had happened. Perhaps it was just a coincidence, but Lin Yi was more willing to believe that there was something fishy about it. Languza swallowed the pastry in his hand and stood up with an excited expression. He thought that there was finally a fight to fight. There was someone he could beat up. This time, he must not miss such a good opportunity. All right, Nephew Lin, you can come after me. I will go first. Li Zixiang nodded and did not say anything more. His figure flashed and directly disappeared from the place. Lin Yi's heart trembled. He had not been able to see through Li Zixiang's strength. However, the aura that burst out a moment ago was at least at the earth opening stage. Chapter 59-57. Lu Dachang laughed and said, Little girl, when did I threaten or intimidate you? I had only expressed my love for the starry sky flowing flame gold. If I couldn't get it, I would definitely think about it day and night, unable to sleep. I would then constantly think about the person who obtained the starry sky flowing flame gold. These were all facts. How did it become a threat? You can't falsely accuse a good person. Lin Yi suddenly felt happy. This old scoundrel, he really hadn't changed at all. His pestering skills were still so good. Although Huang Wenjing, this beauty, also relied on her mouth to make a living, but if she wanted to arm wrestle with this old scoundrel, it would probably be very difficult. However, Huang Wenjing didn't want to entangle with Lu Dachang at all, and directly responded in a cold tone, Senior Lu, please behave yourself. Apart from the normal bidding, don't make any personal comments, otherwise your bid will be invalid. Hey, little girl, are you threatening this old man? Call out the head of your auction house. Even if Li Zixiang is here, he would have to speak politely to this old man. You little girl, are you trying to provoke me? Lu Dachang's voice suddenly showed a bit of anger, but Lin Yi knew that it was all an act. This old guy wouldn't get angry easily. His external performance was just an illusion. Whoever believed him would be a fool. Huang Wenjing remained unmoved, even the smile that she had been maintaining all this time disappeared, but this cold and delicate appearance looked quite fun. 455 spirit jades going once. Is there any friend who wants to increase the price? The starry sky flowing flame gold is a rare treasure. Huang Wenjing spoke in an unhurried manner. Since the start of the auction, she had never incited others to bid during the countdown. Today, Lu Dachang had angered her, so she deliberately did this. Regarding Huang Wenjing's approach, obviously no one felt that there was anything wrong with it. They even hoped that the fifth or sixth booth would continue to bid against the arrogant Lu Dachang. These two booths obviously didn't lack money and weren't afraid of trouble. Unfortunately, after they respectively bid once, there was no movement, 45 million spirit jades going twice. Huang Wenjing's eyes swept across the private room on the second floor, and there was a hint of disappointment in them. It seemed that Lu Dachang's threat had worked. Otherwise, there would have been a new offer. For such a large clump of starry sky flowing flame gold, 4,550 spirit jades was definitely worth it. Even an additional 30 to 40 spirit jades would be within the normal range. Unfortunately, with that damn Lu Dachang's interference, it seemed unlikely that anyone would offer a higher price. Knowing that there was no point in delaying for more time, Huang Wenjing finally announced the third bid. She then finalized the deal, officially confirming that the starry sky flowing flame gold now belonged to Lu Dachang. Languza asked curiously, "Boss, do you know that scoundrel? He didn't seem like a good person, right? Even if you know him, you don't have to be afraid of him, right?" "Who said I'm afraid of him? I just feel that since there are free things, why should I spend my own spiritual jades? Wouldn't it be interesting to squeeze something out of such a scoundrel?" Lin Yi showed a faint smile and explained to Languza. Languza's eyes suddenly lit up, and he asked with excitement, "Boss, that old scoundrel wouldn't agree so easily, right? If he acts arrogant at that time, can I beat him up? I don't think that old scoundrel would give you such an opportunity." "Well, let's not talk about him for now. Let's continue looking at the next auction item." Lin Yi showed a faint smile. In his heart, he didn't think that Lu Dachang would refuse him. At most, he would exchange some ordinary medicinal pills for it. The next auction item was also something that Lin Yi wasn't interested in. Things like the starry sky flowing flame gold were really rare, so he didn't make any moves. Time passed by unconsciously, and the fourth day of the auction also came to an end. It seemed that the soul-nourishing wood would only appear on the last day. With nothing to do, Lin Yi prepared to continue looking for Li Ziyu to ask about the matters of the extreme North Island. After the auction ended tomorrow, he would definitely return to the extreme North Island. However, Ho Guanqi, Kai Zhongyang, Hong Zhong, and the others might stay for a few more days. It would be troublesome if something happened here and trapped them. When walking out of the box, Lin Yi had not yet gone to look for Lu Dachang when he saw this fellow walking towards him with his son, Lu Xiaozhong. "Ah, isn't this Master Lin? I heard that you're also on the North Island and I wanted to pay you a visit. It's a pity that I couldn't find you. Today, I finally get to see you." Lu Dachang laughed heartily as he walked over. He had also heard about the friendship between Lin Yi and Zhuang Yifan. Zhuang Yifan was a big shot in the East Continent, completely different from him, a mere guest elder of Morning Star City. Therefore, in his eyes, Lin Yi's value naturally rose. Not to mention that Lin Yi himself was a mystic rank 2 alchemist. In the East Continent's Yellow Steppe Sea, a mystic rank 2 alchemist status was not inferior to Zhuang Yifan's. "Elder Lu, nice to meet you." Lin Yi smiled faintly. Lu Xiaozhong stepped forward and saluted, and he also nodded lightly in response. "Hey, is Master Lin in box 5? I didn't know about it before. If I had known about it, I would have come here to pay a visit to Master Lin." Lu Dachang pretended to know about Lin Yi's box for the first time, and then nodded to Wei Shenjin and Languza beside Lin Yi. Since they could follow Lin Yi, it was necessary for him to build a good relationship with them. Lin Yi was thinking about how to get some starry sky flowing flame gold from Lu Dachang's hands, so he also greeted this old scoundrel with a smile. The few of them talked as they walked out. "By the way, if Master Lin is in box 5, it seems that he was also interested in this thing, right? If you need it, then I will give it to Master Lin. Lu Dachang took 2 steps forward and suddenly thought of something. He took out a jade box with restrictions on it and handed it to Lin Yi. Lin Yi swept it with his spiritual consciousness and found that the jade box contained the starry sky flowing flame gold, and it was not missing even a little bit. How can I accept something that Elder Lu had painstakingly bid for? Although Lin Yi originally wanted to get some starry sky flowing flame gold from Lu Dachang, but this old scoundrel gave it all away so easily, which made him feel a little puzzled. Lu Dachang's eyes flashed slightly. Although he looked rough on the surface, he had a very meticulous mind. Lin Yi did not open the jade box, yet he knew what was inside. This detail let him understand that although Lin Yi had not yet reached the mountain opening realm, his spiritual consciousness was not inferior to his own by even half a point. In fact, it might even be a little stronger. Ha ha ha, Master Lin, you're too polite. Just call me Old Lu. It's just a small thing. With our friendship, why would I care about such things? Come on, accept it quickly, otherwise, this Old Lu will think that you're looking down on me. Lu Dachang did not give any explanation and stuffed the jade box into Lin Yi's hands with an expression that said, "Don't despise it." Chapter 59-58. The northernmost island was able to stand outside of the 5 Heaven Step Islands and become an independent money-squandering establishment. Li Zixiang thought that the island lord really couldn't be underestimated. If his internal injuries and old injuries were healed, his strength would be improved. Boss, let's go, otherwise, we won't even get the soup. Languza also felt Li Zixiang's strength and suddenly became anxious. The strongest 2 in that battle were only at the mountain opening stage. If Li Zixiang wanted to quell the dispute, it would only take a few breaths. Languza didn't want to miss this rare opportunity to fight. Lin Yi nodded and rushed to the scene with Languza. Fortunately, the distance was relatively close. In less than a dozen breaths, the 2 arrived at the scene of the battle. What made Languza depressed was that Li Zixiang really solved the battle in an instant. The 5 practitioners were all knocked down to the ground. They didn't even have a chance to fight back. The northernmost island is a fair and just place. Everyone can pay the price here and get everything they want, but everyone needs to abide by the rules of the northernmost island. Li Zixiang's face was as calm as water. His cold eyes glanced at the audience. When he said the words, "kill without mercy," everyone felt a chill in their hearts. For example, this one prohibits anyone from fighting in the commercial area of the northernmost island for any reason. Those who violate it will be imprisoned, fined, or even killed without mercy depending on the seriousness of the circumstances. The 5 powerful cultivators who had fallen to the ground were even more pale. They wanted to say something to beg for mercy, but their strength was sealed by Li Zixiang, so they couldn't even open their mouths. For a moment, they were nervous, not knowing what kind of punishment they would face. Although imprisonment was shameful, it was much better than losing their lives. But Li Zixiang obviously felt that their matter was a bit big. Ordinary punishment was not enough to warn others. In view of the relatively wide scope of their fight, the impact caused is very bad. I, Li Zixiang, in the name of the northernmost island lord, announce that they will be sentenced to death without mercy. Before his voice fell, Li Zixiang flicked his fingers. 5-finger winds shot out and aimed at the eyebrows of the 5 people. Once hit, they would definitely die. Uncle Li, wait. Lin Yi had just arrived at the scene when he saw Li Zixiang announce the punishment in a fit of rage, and then directly make a move to kill. He was immediately shocked and hurriedly opened his mouth to stop him. Li Zixiang's fingers moved, and the 5-finger winds were slightly deflected, avoiding the 5 people on the ground. Instead, they pierced through their shoulders. Nephew Lin, do you know them? Li Zixiang's expression was calm as he looked at Lin Yi. No one knew what he was thinking. However, just a moment ago, Li Zixiang had already announced that these 5 people would be killed without mercy. Even if Lin Yi pleaded for leniency, he might not be able to change his verdict. After all, the rules of the extreme North Island could not be broken. However, he had no choice but to give Lin Yi face for the time being. Uncle Li, I don't know them, but this is too much of a coincidence. I think we should interrogate them and see if we can find any clues. Who knows, we might get some unexpected rewards. Lin Yi used telepathy to communicate with Li Zixiang so that the news wouldn't leak out. Li Zixiang suddenly understood. He was too angry just now and did not consider this layer. It seemed that he had been in closed-door training for too long, and his brain was a little rusty. Fortunately, he had announced the charges before executing these people. Otherwise, during the battle, he would not have confined their cultivation, but directly killed them with a slap. However, it seemed that it was not appropriate to change what he said just now. Li Zixiang was secretly annoyed. At this age, his killing intent was still too heavy. No wonder he would be possessed by the devil during cultivation. It seemed that after going back, he needed to properly cultivate his mind for a period of time before he could continue to cultivate. Just when he was in a dilemma, Li Ziyu hurried over with a group of northern garrison guards. Old man, you are finally willing to come out? As a young master, I have to work hard for the auction every day, but you are always doing God knows what. Have you ever considered my feelings? Li Ziyu was secretly surprised when he saw that his father had finally come out to take care of things. However, his mouth still muttered some words that did not match his heart. Brat, you know that I am not feeling well, yet you still make me worry so much. Since you are here, I will leave these troublemakers to you. I will go back and have a good rest. Let's go. Li Zixiang laughed and scolded. He just happened to throw this difficult matter to his son. At the same time, he vaguely gave Li Ziyu a look. After Li Zixiang finished speaking, he said goodbye to Lin Yi and Languza, then turned around and left in a hurry. Although Li Zixiang and Li Ziyu, this strange father and son pair, did not behave properly when they were together, in fact, the two of them absolutely understood each other. With just a look, Li Ziyu had already understood each other. Damn old man, you only know how to be lazy. This young master has been ordered around by you for so many years at such a young age. Li Ziyu nagged at Li Zixiang's back discontentedly. Then, he pointed to the northern garrison guards beside him and said, "You guys, go and put these guys in prison first." The old man said that they should be killed without mercy, but this young master will put them in prison for 8 to 10 years. Lin Yi was secretly amused. The father and son really had a tacit understanding. They had resolved the previous embarrassing situation while laughing and scolding. If he had not transmitted his voice to Li Zixiang and Li Ziyu, he would also think that it was a melodramatic play of a rebellious son going against his father. Canceling the island master's order in such a manner, not only would no one say anything, most people would even smile knowingly. After all, everyone had grown up in their youth, and many of them were already parents, so they had a deep understanding of this situation. Brother Lin, what happened just now? After Li Ziyu ordered the northern garrison guards to disperse the crowd, he walked to Lin Yi and asked in a low voice. He came late, so he only heard Lin Yi hinting at him not to kill people. He did not know the details, but the old man's eyes seemed to also want him to ask Lin Yi. Let's go and ask those 5 guys first. I don't know the details now. Lin Yi also said in a low voice, and pulled Li Ziyu to the direction of the prison. Languza looked dissatisfied, and he bitterly followed behind. He finally had a chance to fight, but he could not make it because he was too slow. It was the same with the shape-shifting spirit beast last time. It seemed that he had to find a way to increase his speed by 6%. In a distant attic, Zheng Tianqing and Yu Ziqing regretfully shook their heads. They seemed to be very dissatisfied with Li Zixiang's sudden appearance. What a pity. It was supposed to be a big mess. I didn't expect Li Zixiang to appear so quickly. Speaking of which, the island owner of the extreme North Island is really powerful. 2 mountain opening stage masters were fighting, but he directly intervened and knocked them down with one move. This strength is too strong. Yu Ziqing sighed softly, and he became less and less confident in his plan. Chapter 59-59. With such a powerful master around, even Uncle O would not be able to stop Li Zixiang, let alone Aunt Lan. Don't worry, creating chaos is not the goal. The goal is to let the Li family in the extreme north investigate the cause of the chaos, so that they can be distracted. Zheng Tianqing was quite proud of himself. The battle between the 5 cultivators was caused by his poisoning, and the plan this time was also formulated by him. The only regret was that the poison was provided to him by the organization. If he could concoct it himself, it would be very awesome. It was a poison that could even kill a cultivator at the opening mountain stage. If there were enough of it, Zheng Tianqing believed that he could definitely unify Middle Island and sweep across the East continent. Unfortunately, his superior said that the ingredients for the poison were precious and difficult to make, so there were not many in stock. He could only use 6 portions, and they were all given to Zheng Tianqing this time. Zheng Tianqing had just used 1 portion, and the effect was really good. He could not wait to find the next target. He was even considering if he could give one to Lin Yi. That would be such a beautiful scene. However, when he thought that Lin Yi's detoxification methods seemed to be better than his own, he immediately gave up the idea. Child Zheng, you have to stir up the chaos as soon as possible. Otherwise, our plan won't work. Aunt Lan was a little anxious. It was getting dark, and tomorrow's dawn was getting closer and closer. If they could not divert the attention of the Li family in the extreme north to these things, the possibility of their failure was basically 100%. The consequences were too serious for Yu Ziqing to bear. Don't worry, in the next hour, Li Ziyu and the North Garrison will keep stopping the fights, and then they will start to investigate the cause. Take this opportunity to finish what you need to do. When I'm done, I can go and help you. Zheng Tianqing was very enthusiastic. The more he did not know, the more he wanted to know. If he was not the only one who could do the poisoning, he would definitely follow Yu Ziqing closely. Yu Ziqing also wanted to cry but had no tears. He wanted to F*King throw this matter to Zheng Tianqing, but time waits for no man. If he couldn't take advantage of the opportunity that Zheng Tianqing created, when Li Ziyu came back to his senses, it would be completely over. Tianqing, you are indeed loyal. But you won't be able to make it in time. As long as you can attract the attention of the Li family and the Northern Sentinel, it will be a great achievement. Yu Ziqing sighed and patted Zheng Tianqing's shoulder with regret. Zheng Tianqing also felt that it was a pity. They were already so close to the truth, but they had no choice but to distance themselves again. Young master, we don't have much time left. We have to prepare for the operation. Please leave the rest to young master Zheng. Aunt Lan nodded politely to Zheng Tianqing, then pulled Yu Ziqing away. Zheng Tianqing was quite satisfied with Aunt Lan's attitude. In the past, this woman had never given him any face. After all, whether it was his strength or status, Zheng Tianqing was not worth mentioning in Aunt Lan's eyes. Now, Aunt Lan was begging Zheng Tianqing, which greatly satisfied his vanity. If it wasn't for the organization's mission, he might have hesitated a few more times before agreeing to help. Don't worry, I won't let you down. Zheng Tianqing laughed and casually cupped his hands to bid farewell to Ziqing and Aunt Lan. Yu Ziqing's face darkened. You can go now. You don't even know how to say something auspicious. I don't know what the F*King organization sees in this idiot follower. Is it because this idiot is innocent enough? In fact, Yu Ziqing also knew that although Zheng Tianqing's strength was not as good as his, and there was a huge gap between him and the real geniuses in the East continent, Zheng Tianqing was really good at poisoning. Even if it was an unorthodox method, it could play a huge role when used in the right place. Maybe that was what the organization saw in him. After Ziqing and Aunt Lan left, the deep male voice came from the communicator in Zheng Tianqing's ear again. Zheng Tianqing, you have to do it well. Our organization has handed over all the drugs to you. If you can't do it well, the organization will reevaluate your ability. Remember, this is your only chance. If you don't succeed, find another way. Got it? Zheng Tianqing curled his lips impatiently. I just felt a little better, but it was ruined by you again. What a bummer. Hurry up. After a while, all the people in the auction house will leave. Who are you going to target? The deep male voice could not help but raise his voice. Obviously, he was very dissatisfied with Zheng Tianqing's delay. From this detail, it could be seen that this person was definitely watching nearby. Otherwise, how could he know Zheng Tianqing's movements so well? Zheng Tianqing was shocked. He quickly agreed, jumped out of the building, and quickly ran to the crowded place. Lin Yi and Li Ziyu brought the 5 captured practitioners to the dungeon. They first detained one of them in the early stage of the mountain opening stage and interrogated him alone. Tell me, why did you want to fight in the extreme North Island? Don't you know the rules here? Li Ziyu personally went up and stared at this guy with cold eyes. Needless to say, that expression was exactly the same as when Li Zixiang announced the death penalty. He really was his biological son. This mountain opening stage powerhouse could not help but feel a chill in his heart. Although Li Ziyu's cultivation was similar to that of an ant in his eyes, now that his strength was restricted, any ordinary person could crush him like an ant. I didn't want to fight with anyone. I was completely forced to protect myself. Actually, if you ask the people nearby, you should know that I was really the passive defensive party. You people from the extreme North Island can't be unreasonable, right? This guy had a shadow in his heart about Li Zixiang. However, Li Ziyu's demeanor and appearance were extremely similar to Li Zixiang. If one had to describe it, it would be that Li Zixiang suddenly looked a lot younger. Therefore, this mountain opening stage powerhouse was completely suppressed by Li Ziyu when he opened his mouth. Because of this, what he said was somewhat credible. Lin Yi frowned slightly. If this guy was really passive defensive, then the problem could only be with the other mountain opening stage powerhouse. Brotherly, go and interrogate the other mountain opening stage powerhouse first. The other 3 mysterious ascension late stage peak are probably just following the 2 leaders. We won't be able to get anything out of them. Lin Yi used sound transmission to give his suggestion. Chapter 5960. Lin Yi was also on the side. He also wanted to know the truth as soon as possible. This matter itself was strange. However, before the 2 of them walked to another interrogation room, a northern guard rushed in. He came to the 2 of them and said, "Young Island Master, there are cultivators fighting in the commercial area again. This time, the Island Master has told us in advance that he will not come out unless it is an emergency. So, you need to personally command this battle." There are cultivators fighting again? Li Ziyu felt a headache. He had not figured out the situation here, and there was another one. The damn old man deliberately did not show up. Who was the Island Master of the extreme North Island? Lin Yi released his divine sense and found that there were 2 groups of people fighting in the commercial area. This time, there were more people, nearly 10. Although there were no mountain opening stage giants, they were basically masters of the mysterious ascending stage. Perhaps this was the reason why Li Zixiang did not make a move. A group of mysterious ascending stage guys were making trouble, and he, the Island Master of the Earth opening stage, had to make a move. The extreme North Island was indeed too weak. "Boss, let's go and deal with these small fries." Languza popped out from an unknown corner. He rolled up his sleeves and had an excited expression on his face. He was ready to fight at any moment. "Brotherly, leave the outside matters to me and Languza. You need to figure out the reason why these people are fighting as soon as possible. Since it is not an accident, the reason behind it is even more worth thinking about." Lin Yi did not talk nonsense and directly told Li Ziyu their respective tasks. Languza was overjoyed. Finally, he had the opportunity to make a move. Now, he was afraid that Li Ziyu would not agree, so he looked at Li Ziyu eagerly. Li Ziyu had no objection. Of course, he could rest assured with Lin Yi's help. Moreover, it was very important to figure out the reason why these guys were fighting. Brother Lin, then I'll leave it to you. Li Ziyu nodded decisively. At the same time, he ordered the Northern Guard, go and take some people with Master Lin. Be sure to listen to his command. At the same time, mobilize a Northern Guard to strengthen the patrols to avoid similar situations. Yes, young master. The Northern Guard saluted and immediately went out to give the order. Lin Yi and Languza could not wait for the Northern Garrison Guards to arrive. They rushed to the scene first. At this moment, there were 9 cultivators present, and they were basically evenly matched. It was 4 against 5, and the side with fewer people was stronger. It was a well-matched situation. It was precisely because of this that the damage caused was maximized. If one side had an overwhelming advantage, the battle might have ended long before anyone arrived. Languza let out a strange cry. He didn't wait for Lin Yi's order and directly rushed into the battle. He didn't care which side they were on, he just wanted to beat up whoever was next to him. Lin Yi did not make a move. Instead, he fully activated his divine sense and carefully observed the people on the battlefield to see if there was anything unusual. At the same time, he searched for any suspicious people among the onlookers. Languza's ability was completely invincible among those of the same level. Even if it was a giant in the mountain opening period, he could still wrestle with him. Hence, when he charged into the chaotic battle, he did not feel any pressure at all. He easily took down one of them. No matter which one was knocked down, it meant that the balance was broken. One side took the opportunity to retreat and wanted to leave the battle, but the other side did not give up and continued to attack. However, to Lin Yi's surprise, the side that did not give up was actually the group that Languza had knocked down. Languza, take them down. Don't waste time. Lin Yi saw something strange and directly told Languza to finish the battle quickly. Languza agreed. It was rare to have a chance to fight. He originally wanted to play for a while, but since the boss had spoken, he could only find a chance to play next time. Violent vital energy exploded in an instant. Languza was practically a human bulldozer. Wherever he went, resistance would be completely flattened. Within the span of a few breaths, these people were all lying on the ground, moaning and groaning. Boss, I did well, right? I didn't kill a single one. Languza suddenly appeared beside Lin Yi. He clapped his hands and smiled, asking for credit. Did you fight to your heart's content? Lin Yi looked at Languza with a smile that was not a smile. This guy fought for leisure and entertainment. What was there to ask for credit? I didn't enjoy it. Next time, boss, you have to let me do it. Languza smiled embarrassedly and immediately booked the next opportunity to fight. What a jinx. Do you want a next time? Lin Yi was also speechless. Li Ziyu was already in a terrible mess, and Languza still wanted a next time. Could he think of something better? The soldiers of the Northern Guard rushed over, but they could only clean up the mess because the matter was already settled. Just like when Lin Yi and Languza rushed over, Li Zixiang had already finished his work. Languza was very satisfied with this. He finally experienced the treatment of a master like Li Zixiang. You guys take these troublemakers to the prison and let young Master Li interrogate them, especially those few. Lin Yi pointed at the few guys who were still pestering the Northern Guard. He also wanted to ask about the situation of Li Ziyu's interrogation. However, after 2 consecutive incidents, Lin Yi felt that this matter would not end so easily. Maybe something new would happen. Therefore, he wanted to continue patrolling with Languza to nip it in the bud. Before that, Lin Yi wanted to ask the bystanders how the fight had happened. Perhaps he'd be able to get some useful clues from the witnesses. Friend, may I ask if you've been here from the beginning? Why are these people fighting? Lin Yi picked a cultivator who was closest to the fight, walked over and asked politely. The cultivator who was asked by Lin Yi was also a mysterious ascension stage cultivator. His strength was around the peak of the late stage. He probably had just broken through not long ago and was not very stable. Seeing Languza's power just now, he didn't dare to be slow in the face of Lin Yi's question. He hurriedly cupped his fists and replied, "That's right, I've been watching it from the very beginning until now. Come to think of it, it's quite strange. Those two groups of people were originally going their own ways and didn't seem to know each other at all, but the leader of the smaller group suddenly launched an attack on the other group." Lin Yi frowned slightly. Suddenly launched an attack? Could it be a premeditated surprise attack? But what the spectator said next immediately overturned this idea. Chapter 59-61. Why did that person suddenly attack the other party? Did anything strange happen before that? Lin Yi really couldn't figure it out, so he could only continue to ask. Unfortunately, after this cultivator carefully recalled, he shook his head slightly apologetically, indicating that this was all he knew. "Thank you." Lin Yi couldn't help it. He could only clasp his fist and thank him. Then, he turned around and asked the other two onlookers. The answers he got were almost the same. It was basically consistent with what the first person said, and no one knew why the leader suddenly went crazy. "Boss, do you think that guy will suddenly go crazy, and then he will bite anyone he sees, just like the rabies in your secular world?" Languza was rarely imaginative, and he was very active in providing an idea. There is also this possibility. If you can find a mad dog or something on the island in the far north, it is probably like this. Lin Yi smiled slightly and said perfunctorily. While he was talking, his divine sense suddenly discovered that in another place 3 streets away from here, there were another 6 mysterious ascending stage cultivators suddenly fighting, and they attacked without any warning. The party that was attacked was not prepared at all, and one of them was directly injured. Compared to the second wave of people who were fighting, they were obviously much more unlucky. "Boss, someone is fighting again." Languza also noticed the fluctuations of the battle, and he immediately shouted excitedly. His expression of wanting to see the world in chaos made Lin Yi feel very embarrassed. But he didn't have time to talk to him. Lin Yi fully exerted the extreme butterfly microsteps, and his whole person turned into an afterimage and flew out, and he jumped directly from the roof. Languza suddenly admired him. Boss is the boss, he can even think of such a shortcut, it is really much faster. So, he quickly followed up, and almost collapsed the house. After a few ups and downs, the two had already arrived at the scene. Languza shouted, "Boss, I'm coming," and rushed into the battle again. Naturally, Lin Yi would not snatch the opportunity to fight. What he did was to use his divine sense to repeatedly check everyone nearby to see if there was anyone similar or overlapping with the previous one. Perhaps this was the key to solving the mystery. Unfortunately, no matter how Lin Yi checked, he couldn't find anything similar. This made him wonder if it was really a coincidence. Languza was having a lot of fun. He beat them up, but he didn't use too much force, so that the cultivators could continue to attack. In the end, it became a situation where he was fighting against 5 people alone. The one who was ambushed earlier wanted to retreat, but he couldn't. "Languza, have you had enough?" Lin Yi was also speechless. Was this guy here to help or cause trouble? Now, he had to end the battle as soon as possible. He was still having fun. "Boss, it's almost done." Languza answered and quickly increased the frequency of his attacks. If the boss got angry and forbade him to beat people up, it would be a big problem. Once Languza got serious, these mysterious ascending stage cultivators were no match for him at all. They were knocked down in an instant. The patrolling northern guards also arrived at the scene. According to Lin Yi's instructions, they took them to the prison and handed them over to Li Ziyu. "Unfair, this is too unfair. We were the ones who were ambushed. How can we be arrested like these bastards? Where is the fairness of the extreme North Island? Can't we fight back when we were ambushed? Can't we just wait for death?" The guy who was ambushed first did not participate in the subsequent battle, so Languza did not imprison his cultivation, and the northern guards did not take him away. That was why he protested immediately. Lin Yi was stunned. This guy's words made sense. If someone dared to ambush him, he would probably kill them first regardless of where he was. Lin Yi was not the only one who heard this. The onlookers not far away also began to talk about it. That's right. If that's the case, who would dare to come to the extreme North Island? If we are ambushed, we will die if we don't fight back. Are we here to die? That's not a big deal. Aren't you worried that you will be killed inexplicably on the road? Why do I feel that a lot of people here are showing signs of going crazy? I heard that the same thing happened just now. We were attacked inexplicably while walking. What should we do? It seems dangerous to stay, but tomorrow is the last day of the auction. It will be a waste if we don't participate. Don't go out before the auction starts. Leave as soon as it ends tomorrow. Don't come back again. This place is a bit strange. There were all kinds of discussions. An emotion called panic was quietly spreading. Lin Yi suddenly felt that something was wrong. If this continued, the extreme North Island would fall into chaos. At that time, the sea beasts would take the opportunity to attack. It would be a problem both inside and outside. Thinking of this, Lin Yi suddenly had a flash of inspiration. Was this deliberately created by the sea beasts? To make the extreme North Island fall into chaos? If that's the case, wouldn't the sea beasts' attack start soon? Languza. Come here. Lin Yi yelled as he took out a recording pen. He put it to his mouth and quickly said a few words before passing it to Languza, who was running over. Boss, what is this for? Languza took the recording pen and wanted to listen to the content. Lin Yi stared at him. It's not for you. You go to the ancient warship immediately and pass the recording pen to Captain Okuda. After that, don't come back. Just stay on the ancient warship and help me keep an eye on the movements in the sea. In the sea? Boss, are you saying that those guys are coming again? Languza was not willing to run errands and miss the opportunity to fight. However, he was excited when he heard that something might happen in the sea. Compared to fighting with the people on the extreme North Island, Languza preferred to fight the sea beasts in the sea. It was his home ground, and it was easier for him to use his strength. I hope I'm wrong. Go now. Lin Yi waved his hand. After sending Languza away, he found another northern town guard. Go and find young Master Li and tell him to speed up. Also, the investigation that I mentioned before needs to be done as soon as possible. Ask him to send someone to inform me if there's any news. Lin Yi was vague, but he believed that Li Ziyu would understand. If it was possible, Lin Yi would definitely go and ask about the situation in person. However, it was not the right time. According to the current situation, the next wave of fighting would probably start soon. Chapter 59-62. What Lin Yi was most worried about was whether someone would take the opportunity to sneak up on his enemy and come up with some inexplicable reason. Anyway, this had happened a few times before, so he could say anything. Lin Yi had to find out the reason before the situation got out of hand. He had to put an end to the possibility of someone taking advantage of the situation. Fortunately, the North garrison that Li Ziyu had set up was already in place. There were people patrolling all the busy areas, so it was of some use. Normally, no one would dare to provoke the North garrison for no reason. As soon as this thought flashed through Lin Yi's mind, his divine sense suddenly discovered that someone really did sneak up on a team of patrolling North garrison. This was going to turn the world upside down. Because of the 2 consecutive fights, Lin Yi's divine sense had completely covered the entire bustling area of the far North Island, constantly searching for suspicious people, things, and things. However, no one was obviously abnormal. Before he went crazy, he really couldn't tell anything. Even the person who dared to sneak up on the North garrison, Lin Yi didn't notice anything wrong before. It was only when the person suddenly went crazy that Lin Yi discovered it. This was a master in the early stage of the mountain opening stage. Facing the 5-man team of the North Garrison, he easily killed one guard and moved on to the next one. Lin Yi didn't care about hiding his trump card. One after another, lightning arcs flashed continuously. In a flash, he had arrived at the scene of the battle. The dragon-shaped murderous aura of the 5 elements rushed forward and completely shattered the attack of the master in the mountain opening stage. The guy's attention immediately shifted to Lin Yi. He gave up on chasing the North Garrison and rushed directly to Lin Yi. His attacks became even more fierce. Lin Yi secretly frowned. This guy in the mountain opening stage looked extremely ferocious, and there was an inexplicable madness in his eyes. It was as if Lin Yi had killed his father, and he would absolutely not stop until Lin Yi was dead. This situation was obviously abnormal. Lin Yi was almost sure that this guy must have been tampered with. However, he did not know how he did it. There was no one around him except for the patrolling North Guard. There was no one within 500 meters of him. After a few consecutive fights, the originally lively commercial area had quietened down. Moreover, it was extremely quiet because of the previous commotion. Otherwise, the guy in the mountain opening period might not have been able to attack the North Town guards. The dragon-shaped 5 elements killing chi whistled in the air, instantly pouncing towards the mountain opening stage expert from the side. This guy who had fallen into madness did not lose his battle instincts at all. His body twisted strangely, and he actually dodged this attack. Moreover, he continued to pounce towards Lin Yi without losing any momentum. Lin Yi stood there without moving. 3 pill fire divine sense whirlpools were instantly activated, completely surrounding the mountain opening stage expert in a triangular formation. In fact, using the soul hook was the most suitable way to end the battle silently. However, Lin Yi still needed this guy to be sober enough to answer his questions, so he had to give up on the soul hook. Ah! The mountain opening stage expert who crashed into the pill fire divine sense whirlpool immediately let out a shrill scream. His primordial spirit felt like it was being torn apart and burned. This kind of pain was not something that anyone could bear. The dragon-shaped 5 elements killing chi whistled and chased after this guy. Taking advantage of the fact that his primordial spirit was injured, it fiercely hit his back, forcibly turning his scream into a mouthful of blood. Then, he softly fell to the ground. This was even when Lin Yi was merciful. Otherwise, it would be easy to kill him directly. The divine sense whirlpool and the 5 elements killing chi attacked from both inside and outside. Under the mountain opening stage, it was almost impossible to resist this kind of damage without a divine sense defense tool. Capture him and send him to prison to Young Island owner Li. Lin Yi calmly ordered. The remaining 4 northern town guards quickly followed his order, their eyes full of respect. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was used to this. Ever since the last time he fought Uncle Li and Uncle O, he had a clear understanding that as long as he didn't get ganged up on by a mountain opening practitioner, he wouldn't be afraid of any mountain opening practitioner in a one-on-one situation. Even if he couldn't beat a peak opening practitioner, he wouldn't be killed by them. This was the 4th ambush, and the bad effects had spread far and wide. Other than the North Guard, Lin Yi's consciousness couldn't see any tourists wandering around outside. They were all rushing back to their residences, afraid that they would be ambushed out of nowhere, or that they would go crazy for no reason and become the perpetrators of the ambushes. This is good, at least no one will be targeted anymore. Lin Yi sighed softly. It was not easy to eliminate this kind of panic, but he did not need to worry about it. Li Zixiang and Li Ziyu would naturally have a way to deal with it. Pass down the order immediately. Keep a visual distance between the northern town guards and pay attention to any suspicious people approaching. If a member of the northern town guards is attacked, you must know who passed by and where he went. Do you understand? Lin Yi called a northern town guard over and gave the order in a low voice. Since Li Ziyu had given him enough authority, he would not pass on the responsibility. If the mastermind still wanted to make the soldiers of the Northern Town Guards go crazy, then they would be caught by the tail and pulled out. Lin Yi estimated that this guy could not make people go crazy on a large scale. Whether it was the time of the skill, the chi limit, the number of times and the quantity limit of the items and medicines, there must be some drawbacks. Otherwise, the entire Northern Island would have been turned upside down. This kind of attack from time to time was mainly to cause panic, so that the Northern Town Guards would be exhausted. At the same time, all the guests on the Northern Island would feel fear and quickly flee the Northern Island. Yes. Master Lin. Your subordinate will pass down your order immediately. This Northern Town Guard was extremely respectful to Lin Yi. He even called himself his subordinate. It seemed that Lin Yi's performance had established his prestige in the Northern Town Guards. However, before Lin Yi's order was passed down, there was a new battle. This time, it was not in the commercial area, but in the residential area of the inn. Lin Yi's expression suddenly changed. All the residential areas would basically have a barrier to block divine sense. No matter how shallow it was, it could prevent other people's divine sense from prying. It was not difficult to force one's divine sense in, and Lin Yi could do it easily. However, it was impossible to hide it from the people inside, because it was not spying, but a blatant invasion. Even Li Zaixiang, the owner of the island, did not have the right to do so. Chapter 59-63. Damn it. Will I still be controlled after returning to the station? Lin Yi cursed and instantly disappeared. From this, it could be inferred that this kind of attack was not instantaneous. There would be a lag time, so it would be more difficult to find the culprit. Because Lin Yi did not know how long the lag time was. 3 minutes? 5 minutes? 10 minutes or even half an hour? 1 or 2 days? If he could not determine the time, how could he find the culprit behind the scenes? Lin Yi's speed was already extremely fast, but when he arrived, the outcome of the battle between the two was already clear. After all, there was a relatively large gap in strength between the two. Otherwise, the other 8 people would not have been killed. The guy who killed all his own people was covered in the blood of his companions. He was like a fierce god struggling out of hell, roaring ferociously. When Lin Yi appeared, he did not say a word and launched a new round of attacks. A wisp of saber chi appeared in front of Lin Yi. The direction of the attack was erratic. It clearly felt like it was aimed at the chest, but in the next moment, it could appear at the throat. This guy really had a skill. Even in a state of madness, his control of martial arts was still excellent. Lin Yi's phantom let the saber chi pass through his body, but his real body appeared behind the guy like a ghost and slapped the back of the guy's head. Unexpectedly, the guy reacted very quickly. His body made a 90-degree turn, and the saber chi reversed. The saber chi slashed into Lin Yi's body like a waterfall. Unfortunately, it was still just a phantom. The essence of the Cloud Dragon's 3 appearances was that it could switch between the real body and the phantom at any time. So no matter how fast the guy's reaction was, he could not keep up with the speed of Lin Yi's attack. When the attack appeared behind him again, the guy had no way to deal with it. He could only collapse to the ground and fall into a coma. Poor guy, when you wake up and know that you killed all your companions, I wonder if you will feel that it is better to die than to live. Lin Yi sighed softly and looked at the guy on the ground with some pity. Perhaps it would be better for him to kill him now? The nearby Northern Guard quickly arrived and took control of the guy, who was both a murderer and a survivor. According to Lin Yi's order, he was sent to Li Ziyu. As for what would happen to him after he woke up, Lin Yi could not care less. Master Lin, this is the message from young master. A Northern Guard rushed over and handed Lin Yi a scroll sealed with a restriction formation. Thank you. Lin Yi nodded and took it. He quickly opened it, but there were no words on it. Instead, a phantom of Li Ziyu appeared and spoke to him directly. He did not know what kind of technology it was, but it was a bit similar to the 3D video recording in the secular world. Brother Lin, after the interrogation, the mountain opening stage cultivator in the first batch did not lie. It was another guy who suddenly attacked. Because the old man sealed their cultivation, the guy who attacked regained his consciousness. According to him, when he was walking, he discovered his lifelong enemy. Then, the killing intent in his heart could not be suppressed, and he immediately launched a surprise attack involuntarily. In fact, his opponent was a stranger that he had never met. It had nothing to do with his lifelong enemy. It was all his own illusion. And this is not a special case. In the second batch of people you sent here, the leader of the surprise attack was in the same situation. There was almost no difference. We haven't had time to interrogate the rest of the people, but we can confirm that this is the reason. According to my speculation, they must have been poisoned by an extremely powerful hallucinogenic drug. The problem is that they don't know when they were poisoned. Fortunately, this hallucinogenic drug is not contagious. Otherwise, the entire northernmost island would have completely fallen. Now I'm only worried that the culprit still has a lot of hallucinogenic drugs, and then the northernmost island will be in chaos. Brother Lin, please help me pay more attention in this aspect. In addition, I've also sent a city guard to patrol the commercial area. We must ensure that there are enough people to control the situation. I'll leave their command to Brother Lin. At this time, the extreme North Island must not have any panic disorder. If there is a trend, I ask Brother Lin to suppress it. I'll bear all the consequences. The shadow of Li Ziyu, who was only the size of a palm, had a very dignified expression. It was estimated that he was under a lot of pressure to say such words. Usually, Li Ziyu did not have the intention to kill, but now he even gave the authority to suppress it to Lin Yi. It could be seen how serious the situation of the northernmost island was in his heart. In the end, Li Ziyu did not say what he was going to do. However, Lin Yi could roughly guess that the culprit behind the scenes was definitely not the main target of the panic and chaos in the northernmost island, unless he had a lot of hallucinogenic drugs that could make people fall into hallucinations on a large scale. Unfortunately, Lin Yi speculated that the possibility was very low. Otherwise, it would not have happened only 5 times. Li Ziyu also had this suspicion, so he arranged to defend some more important places. However, there seemed to be a total of 7 guard stations in the northernmost island. The guard station in the north was imprisoned and isolated because of the incident with the spirit beast and the tunnel. The guard station in the north was also sent to guard it. The commercial area was originally guarded by a guard station in shifts. Now that 2 more guard stations were transferred here, it meant that there were only 2 guard stations left to defend the other places. This was a bit too dangerous. Luring the tiger away from the mountain? Making a feint in the east and striking in the west? Lin Yi murmured. Then he trembled and immediately issued an order to the northern guard next to him. Immediately send the 2 transferred guard stations back to their original positions. We don't need so many people here. The northern guard bowed and cupped his fists. Yes, Master Lin. However, it is not all of the 2 guard stations that were transferred here. To be exact, it is 2/3 of the guard stations. They each left 1/3 of their men to guard their original positions, so there will be no problem. Go and pass the order. Send all the people that were transferred here back. Don't make me repeat myself. Lin Yi did not have time to explain at all. After he raised his voice, he directly rushed out of the courtyard. The North Guard didn't dare to say anything else. He was just trying to explain, he wasn't trying to disobey Li Ziyu's order. Li Ziyu's order aside, the prestige that Lin Yi had built up in such a short period of time was enough for him to obey. Chapter 59-64. It was also because of Qibing's words that Zhao Guangxi left Songshan and came to Donghai to do business. Of course, since he continued to give Zhao Guanyin a large sum of money every month to the hidden Zhao family, he quickly gained a foothold in East Ocean City. However, he was no longer able to go to a higher level. House Zhao had chosen a new business representative, the chairman of Donghai Chamber of Commerce, Lei Daming. Just now, it was Lei Daming's order to chase them away. Naturally, he couldn't disobey Lei Daming's request, since they were on the same side. It seemed that he had kicked an iron plank. He had to make it clear to Lei Daming that the Hidden House Han had to be suppressed by the Hidden House Zhao, but he, Zhao Guangxi, wasn't able to do so. Elder Bai didn't have the ability to get the Hidden House Zhao to help, but Lei Daming could. I understand, don't do anything rashly, just serve them the dishes. Don't show yourself, I'll arrange for someone else to go. Guangxi said. Yes, Mr. Zhao. The manager quickly replied. After putting down the phone, Guangxi couldn't wait to call Lei Daming. Mr. Zhao, is it done? Lei Daming was eating at the Northern Ice Seafood Restaurant, and naturally thought that it was done after receiving Guangxi's call. As far as he was concerned, this wasn't a big deal at all. Guangxi was the boss here, and if he didn't want to do business with a table full of customers, then so be it. What else could Peng Zhan do? Done what, Mr. Lei? You've screwed me over, they have a backer too. Since Zhao Guangxi was related to Zhao Guanyin, he wouldn't be too humble in front of Lei Daming. He cried and complained, they invited someone from the Hidden Han family. His name is Han Xiaopa, and I couldn't suppress him anymore. Not only did Han Xiaopa threaten me to get out of East Ocean City, but he also wanted me to take away all my businesses. Mr. Lei, you can't just ignore this. Hidden House Han. How are they related to Peng Zhan? Lei Daming said. Elder Bai frowned, confused. All right, you don't have to worry about it, I'll report this to the boss. The boss Lei Daming was talking about was naturally Guanyin of the Hidden House Zhao. Lei Daming was his representative, and the reason why he didn't want Peng Zhan to enter Donghai was because Peng Zhan's business overlapped too much with Lei Daming's. Hotels, shopping malls, real estate, all of them were profitable projects. If Peng Zhan were to come, he'd have to take responsibility for Guanyin's actions. Lei Daming's business would be affected, and if Guanyin were to blame him, he'd have to take responsibility. So, Lei Daming didn't feel that he was in the wrong. He called Zhao Guanyin directly. Boss, there's trouble. What kind of trouble? Zhao Guanyin's attitude towards Lei Daming was quite good. After Lei Daming was promoted, he quickly made a name for himself in East Ocean City. He brought in a lot of profits for the Zhao family every month, and there was a lot of sustainable profits. Therefore, Zhao Guanyin had high hopes for him. I told you before, I've teamed up with the local merchants in Donghai, trying to force an outsider out of business. After all, his business overlaps with ours. Lei Daming explained the situation, proving that he wasn't trying to make a personal grudge with the Hidden House Han. Yes, I know, does this outsider have a background? Guanyin quickly connected the dots. That's right, the Hidden House Han is here to support them. Lei Daming nodded, his name is Han Xiaopa. What? Hidden House Han's Han Xiaopa is the outsider's backer? Guanyin paused. Didn't the Hidden House Han not do business? Could it be that after the Hidden House Summit, the Hidden House Han had bared their fangs and were ready to start a business? That's right. Here's what happened today. Lei Daming didn't hide anything and directly told Zhao Guangxi about how he met the outsider at the Arctic Ocean Seafood Restaurant and how he made Zhao Guangxi embarrass him. Well, you did the right thing. Guanyin nodded. Lei Daming was arrogant, but he was doing it for the sake of the Hidden House Zhao's business, so Guanyin had to stand up for him. Moreover, even if this didn't happen, the Hidden Zhao family couldn't take it lying down. After the Hidden Family Summit, the Hidden Han family was no longer as cautious and low-key as before. Instead, they began to move around in the East Ocean City and made their voices heard. It seemed like they wanted to compete with the Hidden Zhao family. At the Hidden House Summit, the Hidden House Han used their relationship with Lin Yi to make the Hidden House Zhao feel bad. After Lin Yi left, the Hidden House Han was still jumping around and even supporting an outsider. Guanyin couldn't tolerate this. If he gave in this time, he believed that the hidden house Han would take advantage of him and make it worse. Therefore, he had to kill their ambition as soon as they showed their fangs. "Boss, what should we do now?" Lei Daming asked carefully. "Isn't it just Han Xiaopa?" Guanyin smiled coldly. "He really thinks he's someone important. Don't worry, I'll let Qibing and Elder Bai come out and teach this arrogant bastard a lesson. Does he really think that the hidden house Han can compete with the hidden house Zhao? He's overestimating himself." "That's great." Lei Daming was overjoyed. He didn't think that Guanyin would send Zhao Qibing, the heir of the hidden house Zhao, and Elder Bai, the core member of the hidden house Zhao. "Just you wait, they'll be here soon." Guanyin couldn't make Elder Bai move, but he could make Qibing move. If Qibing went, Elder Bai, as his master, had to go as well. After all, Han Xiaopa was an Earth-class early phase. If Han Xiaopa made a move, then Qibing would be at a disadvantage. But if Elder Bai went, the situation would be different. Elder Bai wouldn't just sit and watch, and Han Xiaopa wouldn't dare make a move. "Yes, thank you, boss," Lei Daming said quickly. In Lin Yi's room, Han Xiaopa closed the door unhappily and walked to Lin Yi with a smile. "Boss, what's going on?" "You're tuning into the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.